Welcome back, everybody. This is Brothermutant here. Today we are doing a specific Bloodrager build. This is deviating from our strongest there is build series, but it's because someone specifically pointed out that we could make a really good charisma and dex-based character using the Urban Bloodrager. Something that they care about could be strength, dex, or con, and of course charisma for their casting. So a halfling made sense. When that became very important to me, because I know that there's a little trick that you can do with halflings that the other classes don't get. So this build will actually focus on a specific weapon type, which means it's going to be a ranged Bloodrager. But more on that here in just a moment. Now, know that we are using mods to actually make this character. So Bag of Tricks is necessary to force level the character up. Call of the Wild is used for a variety of the new spells, of course, and the class itself. Bloodrager doesn't exist in the game without Call of the Wild. Eldritch Arcana is not Eldritch Arcana, it's actually Eldritch Arcana updated. And again, this one is compatible if you get the Eldritch Arcana updated mod. It's actually called all those three words. Then you will see this feature here, where it says features incompatible with Call of the Wild, turn off compatibility, Call of the Wild, blah, blah, blah. If changed, requires restart. So you see how it's off. That means it's compatible now. That doesn't mean it's flawless. Doesn't mean it's not going to have glitches. But by and large, they both work way better now. And you get access to all the stuff that Eldritch Arcana updated gives you, which of course is things like some really useful traits, a spell or two. Again, not as much as Call of the Wild brings to the table, but definitely something that you want. So let's actually get into our character, shall we? So now this halfling idea was spawned from a subscriber named Zuloph. Zuloph, this is for you, buddy. So he made a very nice build. Go watch the last Bloodrager video for that. It's in the comment section down below. He actually spelled out what he would do at each level. He did a 3-level dip, I want to say, in Rogue to get a weapon finesse for a specific type of weapon. He was all about the Elven Curve Blade. I know it's a little weird because, again, there's not many in the game, but it's a strong weapon, and it's a good weapon for someone that's going to wield it effectively. So again, with finesse training, you can do so. This character is not using that. She is going to be using the typical martial and simple weapons. But on that, let's talk about my little trick for halfling. Notice that because she is a halfling, she gets a variety of features. So she's fearless, so bonus to saving throws against fear. That's stacked with her luck bonus that you'll see down below. She's a little slower than most, but again, she's going to be barbarian, raging, and zippy anyway, so I'm not worried about that. She's sure-footed, so you'll notice that we have a nice bonus to athletics and mobility checks. And again, while she's not particularly a strength-based character, she's mostly all about the dex. That works for mobility for her advantage. Keen senses, again, a nice bonus to perception that pretty much every race gets, except for, of course, us humans. So again, another little bonus for her. And then, of course, halfling luck. This is the one that literally uses a +1 to every saving throw. It's just a nice racial bonus for that. So very, very nice. Notice because she's an Urban Bloodrager, and like most of the Bloodragers, but not all, she'll get light and medium armor proficiency. We're choosing to use robes. So be real clear on this. This is going to be a very odd build. But with the high dex that you have, and of course just some braces of armor class +8, you will be protected. It is not like your armor class is going to be shit. We haven't even really buffed up yet. So again, we're doing okay. Notice that, of course, we get simple and martial weapon proficiency. Again, something that all the Bloodragers are going to get. And that's going to be key here. And the reason that this is key is if you look at the list for martial weapon proficiency, this is our list of things that we could pick up. There's some decent stuff in here. The short version is like rapier is going to be a solid choice for Q. As you can see, she's using one right now. But like I said, this is going to be a ranged build. And you may think, oh, you're going to go with something like throwing axes then, right? Because again, Ragers get a bonus to their melee damage, their melee attack bonus, and their thrown weapon damage, like throwing axes. But again, she's an Urban Bloodrager. She doesn't get that shit. She gets to buff her strength, her dex, or her con, +4, +6, or +8 when she rages. And that's basically all she gets. And she gets some other fiddly bits from her bloodline. More on that in a minute. But by and large, that's all she's going to get is a solid buff to 1 of 3 stats. And in our case, we're going for dexterity. Having said that, what's missing from this list is another weapon that is specifically an exotic weapon for everyone except for the halfling. And that is called the Sling Staff. Because Sling Staffs are halfling-based weapons, for lack of a better description, they're trained with it in a way that as long as they have martial weapon proficiency, they have the ability to use the Sling Staff. Everyone else has to use the exotic weapon proficiency to get that fucking shit. It's like for the Elven Curve Blade. Again, this is why Zuloph's build reminded me of this. For an elf, the martial weapon proficiency is enough for them to use an Elven Curve Blade. For everyone else, it's considered an exotic weapon. Again, the same with great or half orcs. for the ability to use things like great axes and falchiones. Falchiones are exotic weapons for everyone again, except for a half orc. This is again something that really is interesting to me, and I thought that, you know, there's a really good sling staff in the game that's dex based, of course, because it's a ranged weapon. However, it's also strength based in that you're chucking a stone at somebody using that sling staff. So a higher strength means more damage, a higher dex means more attack bonus, basically a better chance to hit your target. And again, we're all about the dex, so I thought this could be a very interesting way of doing things. So notice at level 1, so let's talk first about how we leveled up. Level 1, we got spell vulnerability. I went for abjuration again because it's easy, and she's going to be a fire caster by and large, so spell vulnerability for abjuration is a penalty to abjuration spells, and a vulnerability to cold damage. So again, thematically kind of makes sense. She's all about the heat. Point blank, because of this penalty feat, we get 2 feats for the price of 1, so we get point blank shot and precise shot right off the bat. So again, we're building her to be an obvious attacker using a ranged weapon. That doesn't mean you have to start this way. You would probably want to say maybe get weapon finesse first and point blank shot, and then precise shot would be after that. So I'll probably swap these around when I actually write this down and pin the comment section. But notice at level 1 also, we're going to have traits, and those traits come from Eldritch Arcana Updated mod. That's why we have the Eldritch Arcana Updated mod. First, to get 3 traits instead of 2 at level 1, you have to take a drawback. That can be an emotion drawback or a physique drawback. We go for our typical envy. It's only a penalty to concentration checks, which is for casters, and she is a caster. Not initially, not at level 1. He'll not till I think like level 4 do they get their first spell anyway. So it's not that much of a problem. And again, if you have enough money on hand, it's never a problem. So again, you have 4 levels to start stockpiling. I suggest you do so. But that gives us 3 traits to pick from. So I did a combat trait for Berserker of the Society, magic trait for Dangerously Curious, because this class doesn't get use magic device as a class skill. So this trait gives us not only the green check mark, but it also gives us a +1 as well. So that's 4 points that we basically added to our use magic device simply for putting 1 point in it and then picking this trait. Social trait, Child of the Streets. And this is one I don't normally take, and you may wonder what the hell is this about. This one gives us again the same deal with Dangerously Curious for use magic device. This one does the same for Trickery. We didn't have class skill in it, now you do, so you get the green check mark. So that's 3 points if you invest 1 point in it, minimum. And then you also get a +1 to the trait. So that's 4 points again for investing 1 point. So now you're up to 5 points for your Trickery. And again, that's a dex-based skill. And I thought, well, this character is definitely not solo material for the whole game. She can definitely hold her own for a lot of the game. Why not make her your main character, solo as much as possible, out-level your teammates, shut off XP share and all that jazz. And then, because typically the reason you don't solo is A, you can't beat the content. That shouldn't be no problem for a while anyway. And then B, you don't have the skills necessary to, pick locks, disarm traps, get all that fancy loot that you're hoping for. But again, with Child of the Streets, you can see we've invested in Trickery. Now let's talk about our skills, and we'll talk, of course, about our abilities and how we updated our character from that point on. Notice we've invested in Athletics 11 ranks, Persuasion has 17, Knowledge Arcana has 14, Mobility only has 3, and you can see we're still crushing it. Part of that's because we're halfling, part of that's because we're dex-based character. And again, while I could say, well, when you're raging, you're going to have an even better dex, and of course, then better mobility, of course, Trickery, and so on and so forth, anything that keys off of dexterity. Sure, that's true. However, you're not really doing mobility checks all that much when you are fighting. There's one example that it is. If you are fighting defensively, or sorry, not fighting defensively, when you're moving carefully around a bad guy so you're not provoking attacks of opportunity, that's a mobility check if I'm not mistaken. So that is in combat, and that'll be definitely something you would benefit from. But your armor's so fucking good anyway, even touch armor class, that I'm not particularly worried about mobility, keying off of stuff like that. So that's not an issue. It's more about the skills itself when you're out in the wild and you're trying to climb a log or whatever, and therefore you get the XP for yourself. Again, solo build material. Notice Perception, of course, is maxed out, and of course we have a couple different buffs. Not only we have Keen Senses for being a halfling, we have a specific familiar. All familiars give you a bonus to Perception by +2. This particular familiar gives us a bonus to will saves. We'll talk about that here in a minute when we talk about our attributes. Stealth, I hate the fact that this is grayed out because you don't need to have skill in stealth. You just need to have dexterity. More points, of course, is better, sure, but you don't have to have skill in it to use it. So this +17 doesn't look like it's even working. It actually is working. And of course we can make it better with gear, with spells, and again we will do so. But we didn't invest any in this. And again, it's no big deal because it wasn't a class skill for us. So putting 1 point in it would only take it from 17 to 18. 2 points would take it from 17 to 19. You get the idea. So this is not that big of a deal. And again, while we are raging, we could stealth. So that is another reason that that would get buffed. Again, our dexterity goes up when we rage, remember? Or at least that's what I'm going to make it the character do. Notice for Trickery, we've invested only 8 ranks. But again, with Child of the Streets, the class skill, thanks to Child of the Streets. So you see we got 4 points right there. Our dexterity is good. You can't really rely on it being much better than this, though. Because again, you're not raging and trying to pick a lock, probably. And you're certainly not raging and trying to disarm a trap at the same time. So you're probably going to do other stuff like attack. Having said that, the Urban Bloodrager, Bloodragers in general, I should say, when they rage, they are not technically allowed to use dex-based, intelligence-based, or charisma-based, I believe, skills. Urban Bloodrager is an exception to that rule. So again, if you want to do Trickery, and you rage, and you get, like I said, a plus 8 to dexterity over here, which would be a plus 4 on this side, that would increase this from a 25 to a 29. If there's a trap in front of you, and it's your turn, you have the chance to move over to it and disarm the trap. You would get a bonus because you're raging. And because you're an Urban Bloodrager, you would be allowed to do that Trickery check, which is still kind of cool. Notice use magic device is at a solid 20 right now. Of course, this is pie in the sky dream with the best gear that I wanted for this character anyway. And again, you see 4 of those points came from class skill and the trait Dangerously Curious. So again, those 4 points right there are from that trait. And that's why that was necessary. So let's talk about our attributes. We started off with a base strength of 12, but -2 for being a halfling. Remember, you get weaker because you're a small person. So you started off with an 8. We brought that up to 10 is what I'm basically telling you. That's why you see it's 12, but you have to add in, or subtract, I should say, the 2 here from halfling. So we are really at a base 10 is the way I look at that. For dexterity, we were at a solid 19. Part of that is because we were halfling, so we have a dex of 17 plus the 2 for being a halfling at level 1. And we put all 5 points in it. So you'll see the 22 and 2 is 24. That's the 5 extra points. By the end of the build, you should have a dexterity of 24 base. From there, con, instead of going 14, which is what I normally do for a Bloodrager, I went 12. It's not that they have a penalty to con. I could have taken it 14. The fact that you were probably going to take this build solo for at least a while means we needed more skill points, which means instead of con 14 and intelligence 12, I did con 12, intelligence 14. We never put any more points in it besides, of course, ability buffs and stuff like that. But by and large, that 14 was enough to get us enough skill points to actually do something decent with this build, in my opinion. Wisdom, on the other hand, had to take a hit to do that. So we had to take, from a wisdom of 10, we had to take it down to an 8. So again, that's kind of a bummer. And you may say, well, if that's not that big of a deal, how do you get around this problem? Because wisdom, it works for perception. Wisdom works for your will saves. Well, remember, we got a bonus to perception thanks to the Centipede Familiar. We also get a bonus to our will saves thanks to the Centipede Familiar. And again, a -1 versus a +2, I'll take that. That's solid. And again, that Centipede Familiar is going to be with us from day 1. So that's awesome. So that's a decent way around that problem. And then you may say, well, okay, you could have taken it from 8 to 7. That would have given you even more points. The problem is nothing else on your build here could have taken 2 points to go up 2 more points. They would have gone up 1. So again, for example, like your strength of 10 could have been an 11. Your con of 12 could have been a 13. Your intelligence of 14 could have been a 15, possibly. Your charisma was 16, as we will see here in a minute. But again, nothing was going to go to a even number. And that was kind of the key here. So it wasn't necessary to do so. It wasn't helping us in any real way. So I said, screw it, I'll take a wisdom of 8 and stop there. The charisma, like I said, was 16. 14 base plus 2 for the halfling trait, or racial ability. So again, another better upgrade, if you will, compared to my other Urban Bloodragers. They all started with the 14 and finished with the 14, not counting modifiers. So again, slightly better. And is it leaps and bounds better? No. It's only a +1 to the bonus on this side, so everyone else would have been a +8. We're a +9. We ring a ding ding. Better DC checks for your spells, maybe an extra spell or 2 a day. No, actually, only 1 more spell a day. Maybe. No, definitely. And that's it. So it's really not, again, leaps and bounds of, wow, this is amazing. But again, helpful. And again, this also works for Use Magic Device. This also works for our Persuasion. And as you can see, we're doing really good on those 2 stats. So I'm pretty happy with the character all in all. Now let's talk about the feats, how we picked them as we leveled up. We've talked about level 1 already. Notice that we've picked up at level 3 weapon finesse. Again, I could have swapped that out sooner, probably would. But again, this is not too far away from the start of the game anyway. So if you want to stay ranged, or just use a weapon, because again, your strength is going to be shit, but that doesn't mean you can't hit a target. So you're okay, you're just not going to be remotely good at hitting a target until you rage. And then at that point, like I said, unless you have a reason to do so, which means like weapon finesse or ranged weapon, instead of buffing your dexterity, you should probably buff your strength. Because while a strength of 10 is not horrible, it's not great in any stretch of the imagination, having it jump to a 14 out of nowhere is pretty decent. It's not amazing, again, but you'll get from level 1 to level 2 pretty quickly. Your level 2 to level 3 is about as fast, I'd say, and then from there you have your weapon finesse. So this is still okay, but like I said, I probably would filter it back into level 1. Notice that we have picked up, of course, Enemy Familiar here at level 1. The choice for bloodlines for us was Abyssal bloodline, and I'll talk about why later, but we could have picked Claws here. And again, not a fan, so we went for the Centipede Familiar for the reasons we illustrated a moment ago. Notice this Urban Bloodrager, just like all Urban Bloodragers, get the Uncanny Dodge, an improved Uncanny Dodge. Part of the reason that we're happy about the high dex build, because again, you're never flat-footed, ideally, which means this armor class, you can just throw out the fucking window. This is the one you're going to use if someone's trying to catch you unawares. You probably have this or that, but again, you can see that those are the two best numbers. This is the worst number. So the fact that we can just discard this mostly is awesome. Notice from there we have a rapid shot. At level 4 we have a blood piercing. This is important that we take this here because we could have taken demonic bulk, which would have made us bigger. That's part of our abyssal bloodline. You don't have to take it. Again, they give you choices. In this case, we took blood piercing. This is something that we normally pick up here. You can see that, but we kind of backloaded a shit ton of feats in here. So kind of an odd way of doing things. But again, the demonic bulk, the ability to buff up, to enlarge yourself while you're raging, wasn't really doing her any good. Yeah, the strength was nice, but it was taking away her dexterity. She was bigger, and you'll notice that we have a bonus to our attack bonus and a bonus to our armor because we're a teeny tiny person. If you would do enlarged person, which is what demonic bulk does while you're raging, then you take all those bonuses away. Your dex goes down, you lose the size bonus here and here, and because your dex went down, your reflexes went down, your armor class went, it's all kind of a fuck you kind of a thing. All to get a +2 to strength. It was not necessary for this build. So we took it out and instead grabbed something that I did want to free up, as you can see down here, power attack. Level 5 we got rapid shot, and again notice that we're getting improved uncanny dodge. You can't be flanked anymore, and just because you are a ranged attacker doesn't mean you're not going to melee, hence the reason for weapon finesse and of course eventually power attack, as you'll see. So this is where we get feats that we can pick. The feats, if you right click here, fall under this list with a couple exceptions. You don't get improved bull rush and you don't get improved sunder armor. You get bull rush or sunder armor. That's your choices. You never get the others. And I did check it, so this is just a typo. It's fine. It's what it is. And yes, if you have sunder ahead of time, or like sunder armor ahead of time, like I got way the hell down here, you can't pick up improved sunder armor later. So it doesn't work that way. So again, this is misleading. It's not that big of a deal. I suggest you pick one of the two, possibly even cleave. One of those three would be fine. Cleave, sunder, armor, or bull rush are solid choices. And again, a little weird. I took sunder armor because I never take it, and I figured, what the hell, let's try something different today. But notice that power attack, to get this to be useful for you, remember you need to have strength, and you don't. So you're going to need to get some gear that gives you a strength of, I want to say, is it 13 or 15 for that one? In fact, we can actually prove that to ourselves right here. Strength of 13. So you're going to need to get yourself a belt of strength +4 as soon as possible so that you can actually use power attack. Otherwise, it'll sit in your train and you'll never be able to activate it. That's fine. Or you can always, of course, cast like bull strength on yourself, but again, that's a ways away, as you can see as well. I still would rather have power attack sooner than later, so again, that's why I grabbed it here. Notice level 7, we get ourselves Arcane Strike. Again, a solid upgrade for us. That's a nice weapon damage bonus, +1 all the way up to +5 by the end of the build. And while it likes to shut itself off, we'll have a feat coming up here, level 13, that will make this always be on so long as we're blood raging, which is again part of the goal. Notice we get free spells, and much like Zuloph, I actually decided to use some of his advice. I already knew that I was going to do this, but again, it's nice to give credit where credit's due. Sense Vitals is a nice way for me to get sneak attack damage, because unlike him, who is a rogue, 3 levels anyway, that's like 2d6 at least of sneak attack damage, we didn't get any. So again, the ability to get up to 5d6 is a solid upgrade in my opinion. Notice that we got from there, just to finish the whole list off here real quickly, we got Good Hope, again, another one that Zuloph did, and again, I was thinking of this too, because while this would not be one that you would take for most Blood Ragers, again, they couldn't grab it anyway, but if they could, they shouldn't, because when they rage, you get a morale bonus to your attack and your damage. Now, it's only melee attacks and a melee damage and thrown weapon damage, but it's a bonus, and it's a morale bonus, and they would not stack. The other shit would still work for you. So your saving throw bonuses would be nice, your ability and skill checks would be nice, and your attacks and weapon damage for ranged weapons would be nice. So there is a reason still to take it for them, but they probably wouldn't like it. But for me, this is amazing. Why do I say for me? Because we're an Urban Blood Rager. We don't get morale bonuses to any of those things. We get morale bonus to strength, dex, or con. That's it. Remember? That's all we're fucking getting here. So again, control Blood Rage. Completely different beast here. So that's a really nice upgrade. Grabbed it as not as soon as possible, but definitely, well, matter of fact, it is as soon as possible because it's a level 3 spell. This is a level 2 spell. You can only get level 1 or 2 here, a level 1, 2, or 3 here, and then from this point on, I believe it goes all the way up to level 4. Notice we got greater invisibility. Again, that's to pair up with Sense Vitals, and again, as soon as I could grab it for you. So again, the ability for us to go invisible, get sneak attack damage if we pair it with, of course, Sense Vitals. Notice we got freedom of movement. Again, another one that Zuloph suggested. I was already thinking the same thing. So again, great minds think alike, buddy. Apparently, my terrible mind thinks just like your great mind. So that works well too. Point is, freedom of movement is a solid choice. It's not necessary for this build, though, just to point this out to you. And it's not that there's like leaps and bounds better choices out there, but there's some shit that you could have had some fun with, like Shadow Conjuration or Shadow Enchantment. Gives a lot of different spells just for one spell pick. That's a solid choice in my opinion, even though you're not really about illusions. It's worth doing. And the reason I say this is not necessary is there's a lot of gear in the game, specifically, there's a word I can say, rapiers that can give you, like, for example, freedom of movement if you have it just in your little hands. So if you're ever worried about being paralyzed, you know, a continuous freedom of movement effect just because you're wielding your weapon of choice, in this case a rapier, is a solid way of getting around not needing this spell. But there's other reasons to want this spell too, besides just protecting yourself. You can use it on teammates, so again, I still maintain this a solid pick. Notice at the very end, I was kind of running out of things that I wanted, so I grabbed Dimension Door. You may say, well, that's a little weird. Blood Ragers, aren't they all about like rushing into battle? Well, this one can, again, because of their weapon finesse and their power attack, and you know, the ability to use like a finessable weapon like a rapier, two-handed no less, and there's a lot of rapiers in the game, and it's the best crit range in the game. So sure, they can melee, but remember, this is going to be primarily a ranged attacker. So if you poop hits the fan and they're all up and in your face, and you need to teleport to the other side of the fucking team so they can, you know, start tanking and getting shit off your back, you Dimension Door out of that fucking way. And again, this is something that, while it's a level 4 spell, the Blood Ragers didn't have access to it naturally. So this was a nice free pick in my opinion. Notice from here, so we talked about Arcane Strike. Notice we have Blood Intensity here at level 8. Level 8 could have been, let's see, I wrote it down on my little sheet here. Demon Resistances. So this would have been just like a 5 resistance to like acid, fire, and cold, or some shit like that. And then it goes up to 10 resistance at a certain level, like 16 or some shit. And again, useful, but didn't care. And I wanted my Blood Intensity, and again, it allowed me to free up other feats, like you're seeing up here. So again, another solid choice. And again, you definitely wanted Blood Intensity on this build. Trust me, this is going to be amazing. From there, you'll notice that we got Spell Focus Evocation at the same level that we pick up Blood Havoc. I don't care that we have Spell Focus Evocation at the same time, but you definitely want it before or at the same time as the level you pick Blood Havoc. So if you're moving Blood Havoc around, let's say you really want that toughness sooner, you can grab Blood Havoc later. But again, you definitely want Spell Focus Evocation at the same time or sooner. So as you see, if you pick it up here, you probably want Spell Evocation there. So if something else is more appealing, like Deadly Aim, for example, you could shuffle some of this shit around, is my point. But you see Spell Focus Evocation and Blood Havoc chime in on each other so that we're getting extra damage. And that's part of this build. It's not just that it's important. We're going to capitalize on that in spades. And you'll see why here when we start talking about spells and how we're going to attack shit. Notice at level 11, we're getting Deadly Aim. Again, it's a little late for that. Like, you could have convinced me to swap that out for, say, Arcane Strike, but remember, this is a penalty to your swing and a bonus to your ranged damage only. And while I could have gone Blade Tutor in this build, which then Zuloph did, and Blade Tutor would help us with power attack, because again, it's a -5, -6, I believe, penalty to your swing by the end of the build. She's going to be fine with weapon finesse, man. Trust me on that shit. It's not going to be an issue. And there's another reason to go rapiers. I'll talk about that when we talk about gear. But that penalty, while it sucks, Blade Tutor doesn't work on it because it's not a melee weapon. Blade Tutor only works on melee weapons, not range buff or debuffs. So again, deadly aim and rapid shot, we could not neuter them with Blade Tutor. Doesn't mean you shouldn't grab it. And again, if you feel like, again, you don't need freedom of movement, still grab Blade Tutor, because again, power attack can be a bitch. And I'll happily take that 5 points back from that -6. That's a solid upgrade for your character. You're really going to hit shit and fucking hard and accurately. So again, Blade Tutor could still be of value, but I think with good hope, that +2 to all our swings, for all of our swings. I mean, we're melee ranged, raise spells, melee touch attacks, all that shit. We're getting a solid +2. I'm okay with that. And again, we can shut off deadly aim when we're doing raise spells, because it doesn't benefit you in any way. It's all penalty, no buff for a snowball spell or like a scorching ray, shit of that nature. So again, shit we'll talk about when we're talking about combat shit. Notice at level 12 we picked up for feat toughness. Notice we picked up toughness, sunder armor, and great fortitude. And again, those come from this list here. Again, that's not the only way to do things. Again, cleave is there, but like I said, once you unlock cleave, you almost want to get great cleave, improved cleaving finish, and improved cleaving finish, which are awesome, but again, not really part of this build in my estimation. And again, same with bull rush. We could have done bull rush. The downside with bull rush is it requires a high strength to be successful. However, just a little caveat there is a feat that you can take. I don't know if it's in the vanilla version of the game, but it's definitely in our version with their mods, where you can take bull rush and then you take another feat, and that feat allows you to add your dex modifier to your bull rush attempt. And that's fucking amazing for someone like her. She'd be tripping motherfuckers left and right, and or not tripping, knocking them back, and then they fall down. Solid fuck you. So again, works for that, but it could have just easily worked for cleave or sunder, I believe. So again, some interesting shit that we could have done there. But again, like I said, I went toughness, I went sunder armor, and I went great fortitude. And again, there really wasn't much left to pick here at this point. I mean, there's some other stuff, like I said, cleave could have been okay, but for the type of build you have, you're probably better off swinging multiple times than just trying to cleave once and calling it good. If you're not, like I said, if you're not going to invest in cleave with at least a couple feat picks after cleave, you're probably wasting your time. From there, we grabbed, notice here we have no choice, but this was part of the reason that I wanted to show this to you, Zuloph. Abyssal Bloodrager, you mentioned that we could have gone for a couple of feat picks. You could have gone for like Eldritch Heritage, because it's a charisma-based feat. If you have casting in a bloodline, but not the bloodline you wanted per se, let's say you went Draconic for whatever reason, you could have gone Eldritch Heritage and picked Abyssal Bloodrager, but it requires multiple feats to do so. Well, I'm like, why do that and skip the middleman? We'll just do Abyssal now, because again, while this is a morale bonus to strength, and remember our raging is a morale bonus to strength, dex, or con, well, the strength and the strength won't work, but strength and dex do. So I can get a +6 to this bastard's strength and a +8 to their dex when I rage, thanks to this fucking ability and this ability right here. That's pretty fucking badass, and I thought that was pretty cool. Hence the reason for the sling staff that you'll see. And again, we'll wield the rapier well. We'll have really good accuracy with this and okay damage. Having said that, we'll get really good accuracy and really good damage with the rapier. And the reason for that, just to bring it to light right now, is there's a lot of agile rapiers in the game. For those of you who don't know what agile does, when it's a weapon finessable thing and you have weapon finesse, which we do, instead of using just our dex modifier for our attack bonus, it allows us to use our dex modifier for attack and damage. So that +6 to strength over here brings us up to a +9 while we're raging. That's nothing compared to a 13 going to a 17. So again, we're going to get like 8 more points of damage so long as we're wielding an agile weapon finessing it. So this will be an amazing reason for us to go rapier. That's part of the reason, Zuloph, I went this way, just so we're clear on that shit. Notice we picked up, and again, this one you had no choice. You had no choice to take it, but of course you were going to. Notice here we picked up a 13 Blooded Arcane Strike. This is the one that ties in with Arcane Strike. It's not necessary, I suppose, but I still like it. And again, it works for any weapon, so long as it's a melee or ranged weapon, period. You get a +1 all the way up to a +5 to your damage. I'll happily take that. Notice we have Clustered Shots, again, another feat for ranged attacks. This allows us to do full attacks with, again, probably our sling staff. Doesn't have to be, by the way, but you definitely want the one that I'm going to show you. And it allows you to hit a target multiple times. If you do so, and they're resistant to physical damage, let's say. So they're absorbing like, so let's say they have stone skin on themselves. So they're absorbing 10 points of blood, slashing, or piercing damage. Every attack, no less. Well, if you hit them, let's say 3 times for like 20 points of damage each, so that's 60 points of damage they should have taken. Well, instead, because they have stone skin on, they would only take 30, because it absorbs 10 for each hit. Well, clustered shots will take that and literally average out the damage, or take the damage total, I should say, and then subtract the damage reduction, the 10 from stone skin, for example, once and once only for that round. So if you hit them 3 times, pop, 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 you'll see 10 points of damage, then it'll be 20 and 20, because you've exceeded his damage reduction by that point. If that's not too impressive to you, because again, going from 30 to 50, it's definitely an increase. You'll see the appeal. The reason you really grab clustered shots is because 10 is not what we're battling. We're usually battling shit that has a damage reduction of 15, 20. Hell, I think I've seen someone in the game that had like 30 fucking 1 damage reduction. And you want to talk about a piece of shit motherfucker that you have to spell cast like crazy to kill him, because it's only elemental damage that was going to kill him because you can't penetrate his damage. Clustered shots has that potential of penetrating the damage. So again, a solid way of doing that. And there's a similar feat, I just can't think of it, but for melee attackers, I'm fairly certain, but it's not called clustered shots. The same general principle though. Notice again, at level 16, we get demonic aura, and again, I don't believe we have a choice. This one is pretty much your choice, is to turn it on or shut it off. Don't leave it on when you're around your teammates, because it'll burn them when you rage. But 2d6 plus 7 fire damage in a circle around you. Remember, you're a ranged attacker most times. They don't have to be. But even when you are ranged attacking, let's say you just keep with the ranged and decide to get rid of, say, like the weapon finesse and the power attack because you want to do other shit. Nothing wrong with that for modifying my build. People are still going to rush up on you is the point. The bad guys are still going to fucking get all up and in your face. Just because you're a ranged attacker doesn't mean they want to be. So they get up in your face, let the fuckers burn. You know, this is not a bad choice by any stretch of imagination, especially if you're running solo. If you're on a team, though, again, be careful with that shit, because you will hurt your team. Notice we're getting at level 17, improved precise shot. Now, this is a judgment call. Notice we didn't take blind fight, which is usually a staple for me. But this one's decent, and again, since we are a ranged attacker, a little coffee here, because we're a ranged attacker, this allows us to ignore partial concealment. So a 20% miss chance, which is like someone has blur on them, for example, which a lot of bad guys do at the end of the game. This is a good way of just ignoring that. So again, for her ranged abilities, this was decent. Again, judgment call. If you wanted blind fight, go with blind fight. There's nothing wrong with blind fight. But this one still is a solid choice for a ranged attacker, in my opinion. Notice at level 18, we got great fortitude. Again, it's not necessary, but there wasn't anything really else we wanted. If you really needed to get, say, the demonic bulk back, or the demonic resistances back, you'd have to swap one of those, like blood intensity up into here somewhere, grab that demonic resistance, and that would take away one of these picks. I'd definitely lose great fortitude, because again, you don't really need it. 27 is nice, don't kid me yourself, but you know, 25 was almost as good. So again, level 19, steadfast personality, something for a charisma-based character, especially with someone with a wisdom penalty. Remember that -1? This should have been -1, this should have been +8. It's not, because we chugged a potion from Bakken. He only gives you one and one only of these potions, so again, choose wisely who you give that potion to. It's that one that you're seeing the buff here, the transmutation of mind, body, and soul. It buffs +2 to all your mental and physical stats permanently. So that's why you're seeing a 10 and a 28. That's why everything here is in green. But this should be an 8, this should be a 26 normally. -1 +8, add those numbers together, so +7, and that's what that will do, but only for will saves here, and only ones that are specifically targeting mind affecting effects, which are most will saves, not all, but most. So again, still a solid bonus again. So if that was a +7, this makes our will technically a 21, and even more so when we talk about this little bastard here. Will saves against enchantments, we get a +4, and this should work for you again while raging. So it should stack with that and this. So it's a +4 and +7 could have been a +11 to will saves that are enchantments, and all enchantments, as far as I know, are mind affecting spells. So this could literally have been a 25 to your will saves against those things by the end of the game. So a solid upgrade there. And that's basically it. Notice, of course, at the end, just to point out that demonic immunities, you have no choice here either, but you definitely want it because you're immune to electric and poison. We could have had some fun with this, but it's not that big of a deal, and it's so late in the game that it's like, nah, why bother? But the immunity to electricity is definitely solid, and while it's probably not helping you per se. There's not a lot of electric slinging bad guys in the game. However, some of your teammates can either sling electricity through you, and it won't hurt you now, or they can summon pets that notoriously sling lightning bolt, lightning bolt, lightning bolt, and you definitely don't want to get hurt by that shit, so you're definitely immune by level 20. So as you can see, solid choice. Now, that's the build. Gear-wise, this is where the fun begins. I basically cut and pasted like from some of my other characters. They just grabbed their gear and put it on her, with some additions, of course, as well. So, for example, this War-Painted Skull Dusk is on here to remind me that this is probably not for you, not for this build. And why, you may say, because again, rage is cool. You know, when you're gonna rage, not controlled blood rage, but actual rage, would be for this character a +4 to their melee, +4 to their melee attack and melee damage, and thrown weapon damage, and +4 to their will saves. So again, you can see this could be useful, but only really when you're meleeing. So I would probably say, if I'm not really going to melee all that much or ever with this build, this is a terrible idea. Grab something different. And I would not give her the cool wizard hat, the one that gives a +8 to intelligence, wisdom, and charisma. That's silly. That's still one of those where she would look stupid as a blood rager. Even slinging a staff, she looks dumb with a fucking wizard hat on. Again, I know that's a terrible reason not to take it, because it's clearly the best hat. But there's other choices, is my point. And again, I like to deviate from the norm, because you've seen the old builds in the past, a +8 to everything because of the belt, and a +8 to everything else because of the hat. You know how I do. But, for example, since you're a ranged attacker, there's definitely gear out there that gives you a bonus to your swing if you're using, what's that feat called? Deadly Aim. That -6 to your swing can be taken down to, I want to say, a -2 if you have the right hat on. It's like a targeting hat. Don't ask me. It makes no sense. But the point is you could fucking use that hat instead. And it's not common. It's obviously just one and done. You find the hat and you keep it. But there's other hats like that that give you a bonus to your range attacks, or maybe give you like a at-will spell, like a lightning bolt, or something. Just change shit up is my point. So this is not something that I'd probably keep on this build. This, on the other hand, I would, because again, if I'm not getting my charisma from the hat, I'm definitely getting it from here. This is a nice +8 to charisma, hence the reason our charisma is so high. And again, the energy drain spell once a day. This is a nice spell, because again, it's a raised spell. You are a ranged attacker. You're going to fucking hit with that more likely. And again, caveat, there's always that 5% chance for your critical miss. You roll a 1, you are going to miss, period. But again, this is a solid way for you to fucking really sap somebody that's being a problematic little prick. 2d4 negative levels, unless you're of course immune or you miss. That's a solid fuck you to the bad guy. Then you see you've got, of course, our Ring of Circumstances, and of course our Greater Ring of Ultimate Protection. For the Ring of Circumstances, the +4 bonuses that I've added for this character, as you can see down here, are actually all mental and physical abilities. We've got a +2 to Strength, Dex, Con, and Charisma. Why? Because I care about all 3 of those stats, and I care about my Charisma casting stat. So again, solid choices here. I think that's a way to go. I could have taken away, say, the Strength one and gave myself a bonus to Armored class, which would have been useful, because it'd be a +1 here, here, and here, but it's only a 1. I'd rather have the higher strength and more damage with my weapon, whether it's the Rapier or the Sling Staff. Remember, those benefit from strength, unless, of course, it's the Agile weapon. So that's a solid reason to go strength, in my opinion. Notice, of course, we have Braces of Armor class +8. Now, of course, before we talk about this, we need to talk about spells quickly. One of the spells you could get and should get early on is called Blood Armor. Because we're going to be wearing robes or armor until we get robes, you can cast the spell on yourself where if you take the bleeding damage from like a slashing attack or a piercing attack up to like 5 points of damage or more, activates the spell and gives you a stacking +1 to enhancement to your armor. That includes robes, so you have to have something in this slot. So that caps out at +5. So these robes right now give me no armor, as you can see, but I could have 5 armor class thanks to that spell. But again, they don't stack, I believe, with the bracers. So once you get bracers of armor class +5 or better, that spell's useless now. Spec out of it. So I just wanted to point that out to you. But again, once you get to the +8, you're clearly giving them to her. Notice, this is where we get some serious fun. So now we need to talk about why Blood Havoc was so important and Sling Staff itself was so important. First off, let me get out my Sling Staff. Look at that fucker, right? That's just badass. This is the Arsonist Sling Staff. So for those of you that don't know, this is a weapon that's in the game. It's a +4 weapon, so plus 40 your swing, plus 40 your damage. It's flaming, so it does fire damage on every hit, as you can see here. It's a flaming burst weapon, which means on a crit it does 2d10 damage instead of the typical 1d6, so it does even more damage on a crit, which is not likely because it only crits on a nat 20, but hey, you'll take it. But here's the real reason you got this fucking sling staff. It's when you're casting anything with the fire descriptors, basically most, if not all of your fire spells, that spell deals plus 1 point of damage per die rolled. Well, that means a 10d6 fireball, because there's 10 dice, does 10d6 plus 10, thanks to you holding this staff in your hands. It has to be equipped like this, not like here, not like using your rapier and just on your back. No, you have to have it actually in your little fingies at all times. But Blood Havoc does the same thing, but only for spells that are for spell focused evocation. Guess where most, if not all, of our fire spells come from? Spell focused evocation. So again, with that and Blood Havoc, now we're going up to 2 extra points of damage per die. Wait, now we have this necklace, and this necklace called the Amulet of 4 Elements does the same thing, not only for fire, but electric, cold, and acid too. And again, I don't care about those. I mean, yeah, you'll use it, but it's really the fire that we give a shit about. So now we're up to plus 3. So that 10d6 fireball just jumped up now to a 10d6 plus 30. So even if you rolled all ones, you're sitting at a solid, it's going to do 40 points of damage unless they make their save or are immune or resistant to fire. So again, pretty cool, right? Well, wait, there's one more. And it's this bastard right here. The Ambrosial Attire of Arcane Annihilation, hence the reason for the robes. Does the same thing that this necklace does, and more. Not only does it give us the plus 1 damage to fire, acid, cold, and electric, also does it for force spells, which is the only spell we have that's force, was Magic Missile, but you'll take it. I mean, it's free. It also gives us basically the equivalent of spell penetration and greater spell penetration, which we didn't even have, so fuck yeah, and there's more on that when we talk about blood piercing, because that's awesome. Then, even more, plus 4 to all your race spells to your attack roll. Remember, you're already fucking hitting like a goddamn brick shithouse with the high dexterity and a really nice bab. Throw another fucking 4 on top of that shit and be at point blank range. Holy Jesus Christ, we're gonna fucking hit everything with snowball spells, enervation, energy drain, any kind of race spell I can fucking muster is a solid fuck you now for our attack chain. That's a solid way of doing things. And again, extra fire damage. So now we're up to, let's see, 1, 2, 3 with the staff, 4 with Blood Havoc. Once you have all those things working for you, any of your fire spells are doing plus 4 damage per die. So that 10d6 fireball is now doing 10d6 plus 40. So a minimum now, guys, of 50 damage AoE from that spell. Wait, there's more. Before we finish talking about the rest of the gear, just as a reminder, you also have this ability, Blood Intensity. Now, the downside, I have to say, is this. We never got charisma or strength, even when we're morphing, when we're getting super strong from our rage, where this goes up 6 more points. This will only go up to a fucking plus 9. This is a plus 9. So we're going to be stuck at the same fucking number. Doesn't matter then which one is the higher, because they're both the same. But whichever is the higher number here, when you intensify a spell using this up to 5 times a day, you can add that many dice usually to the damage. So that 10d6 fireball, in our case, can go up to 19d6, just shy of maxing it out at 20. And that's fucking powerful. And remember, that's 19 dice. So 19 times 4, what is that, 80, 76 extra damage on that fucking 19d6 fireball. So do 76 plus 19, so if you just rolled all ones, because maybe you're just unlucky today, it does happen, I suppose. So 19 and 76, the minimum damage from that AoE fireball 5 times a fucking day, if I so choose, can do 19, 76 is 86, 95 points of damage, unless they make their save and they're resistant. And that's minimum. Now imagine, if you will, if you do something stupid like make it maximized and empowered at the same fucking time you intensify it to get it to 19d6 plus 76 damage. This gets ridiculously huge now, and I'm going to show you that shit. So this is where we talk about these, but first let's finish up over here. Notice I went for the Belt of Physical Perfection. I'm not very creative today. It's plus 8 to Strength, Dex, and Con. I don't need it though. It's nice, don't kid yourself, and it's a solid choice for you. You'll take it. However, once you get the Star Soldier's Gauntlets, which I maintain are a solid choice for this build, because of the free race spells at will every round, if I so choose, I don't even have to use my Sling Staff or my Rapier. I can just fuck pew 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 with a nice race spell. every round, and that's really nice. I'll explain why here in a second. But the other reason that this was important is because the gauntlets give you a +8 to strength. Well, they don't stack with the belt, so this belt is wasted on you technically. There is a belt in the game that's +8 to dex and +8 to con only, and it makes you immune to poison, I believe. So again, it's a solid choice. Matter of fact, I think I fucking gave myself that. So let's go for type. No, nope. Here, Devil Sash. If you get the Devil Sash, you should put it on this character, and here's why. Because until level 20, you're not immune to poison. Now you would be, and it's a +8 to dex, +8 to con, which is the same thing that this belt is giving you, except it's also giving you a +8 to strength. But once you have the Star Soldier's Gauntlet, you don't need that +8 to strength. So this is what you want for now. Once this is here and you have that Devil Sash, you gotta have both of them. Put those two things on, like so, and then give the Belt of Perfect Awesomeness to someone else on the party who fucking can definitely use a +8 to all three of those stats, because you still have +8 to all three of those stats. That's how I do that. But now, back to Star Soldier's Gauntlet. Why was it necessary for me to have free race spells at will? Because free damage. You don't have infinite use cantrips in this game for this Bloodrager class. They don't have cantrips. They have spells at level 1, 2, 3, and 4. That's all they fucking get unless it's coming from gear. Like this. This one never runs out of pew pew pew. You get to shoot 3 fucking Scorching Rays every round if you so choose. And that's 46 of damage. Fire damage. Evocation fire damage. And yes, they stack with the ability to get +1 from here, +1 from your Blood Havoc, +1 from this, +1 from this. And remember, it's a raised spell, so you're getting a +4 to your swing, too. And Spell Pen +4 for pew pew pewing every fucking round if you so choose. And remember, because it's an attack roll, if we had Sense Vitals on and we had sneak attack potential, we could get sneak attack damage. And guess what? The sneak attack damage is, guess what? Fire fucking damage too, which capitalizes off of this, your Blood Havoc. No, not Blood Havoc, because Blood Havoc requires Evocation, I think. And sneak attack isn't an Evocation spell, it's just sneak attack damage. So I don't think you get all of that cool damage. I can't remember, but we'll see. Point is, it's going to be fucking cool. Then we got, of course, the Manticore Skin Boots. She moves a little faster. You can see that's not great, but again, she'll happily take it. And I don't mind her having a +10 to her speed, because 30 was fine, because that's normal moving speed for a human. 40 is even better, and the Halfling's normally moving at 20. So we've technically doubled her speed with the boots and the ability for her getting fast movement from being a Bloodrager. You know, they're always zippy, the barbarian types. So it's not bad. And it's extra armor, so you'll happily take that. Then, before we talk about weapons, we have, of course, the Grandmaster's Rod, the Rod of Flaming Vengeance, more on that in a minute, Rod of Fearless, Rod of Undeath, and Rod of Power Source. These are the staple 5 that you give to your main caster, usually. This caster is not your main caster, though, so this is kind of overkill, but there's a reason for the madness. Let me explain. First, Grandmaster's Rod. We already talked about the fact that we could take a 19d6 fireball spell that does 76 of extra damage thanks to all the kick-ass gear and Blood Havoc that we have, and then turn it into, instead of just being a random die roll of 19d6, saying, nope, just do maximum fucking damage. Oh, and then empower it, which means all your damage, whatever you had there, multiply it by 1.5, because that's what empower does. For free, 3 or 4 times a day, 3 times a day. And better than that, this one ignores spell resistance and magic immunity. So if some motherfucker's like, I'm immune to fire because I have magic resistance or magic immunity, fuck you. No, fuck you back, because I got Grandmaster's Rod. 3 times a day, full fucking damage, and then some, and fuck that prick. Now, normally you can't activate 2 Metamagic Rods at the same time. You still can't. However, this is a Metamagic Rod. Your Blood Intensity ability, which is a toggle, is not a Metamagic Rod, so I can leave that toggle on too. That's how I can intensify it to get that 19d6 of fireball damage, right? Or lightning bolt, or, you know, whatever you're doing. I can do the same for Dragon's Breath, and I can put the Dragon's Breath, especially if it's fire, up to 20d6 of damage. I think I can actually push it to 21, and the reason for that is now this guy. Why? Because we actually get +1 to all our spell casting, to our levels, because of this thing here. Notice increase caster level by 1 just by having it in your belt. You don't have to be using the rod. Just in your belt, you get +1. But watch this other part. All wielders damage, spell damage, turns into fire damage. Well, remember, we capitalize on fucking fire damage, so why wouldn't you want that? But there's reasons, because remember, someone could be immune to fire, and that could be a problem, so you have to literally unequip this from your belt before you go into those fights. Just know that that's a thing. Notice that our evocation spells, which are most of our attack spells, with most of our fire spells, if not all, get a +3 to their DC check. Fucking great, right? Well, no, first, let's be real clear here. This +9 charisma, that's part of your DC check. That's not amazing. It's good. Don't kid yourself. But I've had better builds. Just to give you some frame of reference, I typically, on like an Eldritch Scion, which is a charisma-based caster, I typically max out charisma, which means it's 24 by the end of the build. So that's 24, plus 2 from Bakken's Potion, plus 2 from my ring, plus 8 from my hat, usually. So that's 12 more added to the 24, so it should be a 36. Okay, so now compare that to the 36. A 36 would be, what's that, 8 more higher? So this would be +4. So this would be a 13 for my best builds. I'm at +9. Well, with this, I'm at a +12. Still not quite there, but getting closer to being, I don't care. I'm happy that it's as high as it is. And again, I'm pretty happy with that. That's a solid upgrade. Notice that the Metamagic Rod in this case can actually maximize spells. And any of your spells, because we only have spells 1 through 4, so it doesn't matter that it can go all the way up to level 9, but it can do it 5 times a day. So again, this one does maximize and empowered and a bunch of other fiddly bits besides, but this one can be done 3 times a day. This one can do 5 times a day, and it's only maximized. This one here now, again, we're bonus to our save against fear, which, you know, you're a barbarian type, so you should be protected from fear up to yin yang, but I'll fucking take that. And notice we can quicken shit. Only spells level 1, 2, or 3. And you may say, well, that sucks. Well, yeah, that's true, but remember, you only have spells level 1, 2, 3, and 4. So you're only not able to quicken your level 4 spells. Ooh, ring a ding ding. Who gives a shit about that? I'm happy being able to fucking instantly fireball spell your ass, and then fireball spell you right fucking after in the same fucking combat round, because fuck that guy. This is a nice upgrade for you. And again, you will happily take it. Notice this one. This is your Rod of Undeath, plus 2 your Necromancy spells DC checks. You may not think, well, I don't have a lot of Necromancy spells. Yeah, you do. You actually have a decent number that you could have picked. I only picked like 2, I think, and one of them was free, the Ray of Enfeeblement that we got. But that's a DC save, and again, I'll take a +2 to that shit. I mean, it may help it land, and at the very least, they're affected by it more, which is, of course, appealing. But, of course, just like everything else, it has a metamagic effect to it as well when you activate the rod. This +2 bonus is always just there, just for having it in your belt. When you want, you can extend spells, double the duration for any of your spells, because again, it works all the way up to level 6. All your spells cap out at level 4, so this will work on any of your spells that can be extended, of course. You double the duration, and you can do that up to 4 times a day. But what might you extend? How about Sense Vitals and Greater Invis? Instead of having a 2-minute buff on each of those, how about you have 4? I'm cool with that. You can do that twice a fucking day, because again, you have 4 charges, 2 spells, boom boom, it wears off, boom boom one more time, and you're fucking buffed to the fucking tits, because again, Greater Invis, Sense Vitals is a solid buff for your character. Fucking love that. And that's not the only things you get buff. You have other spells like the equivalent of haste, as you will see, called Channel Vigor. That one only lasts for like 2 minutes. Why not make that fucking 4? I'm cool with that. Again, there's a lot of ways to fucking make your character better with shit like this. Last one to talk about is the Rod of Power Source. +4 to your Conjuration spells DC, and you may say, well, I don't have a lot of those. You have Snowball, at least, and that has a DC check, and you may say, well, yeah, okay, but Snowball doesn't have that DC check. Even if they make it, it still does full damage. It has nothing to do with the damage. Yes, that's true, but the effect, the staggered condition, that only lasts for 1 round, wouldn't you like it to land? I know I would. I'll happily take a fucking +4. Remember, +4 to this +9 brings us up to a +13 to the DC check of all our Conjuration spells. And we only have like 1 or 2, but I'll fucking take it. So again, it's a solid buff. And again, 5 times a day, we can empower shit. So again, much like our Maximize over here, 5 times a day, we can empower it. That's 50% more. 50% more of what? Whatever. More damage, probably, but doesn't have to be. Like if you use this for like Ray of Enfeeblement, the amount of strength that you penalize, 50% more. You see the appeal here. And again, the good news on that one is if they make the save, it lessens it by half. But let's say we sap them for 10 points of damage because of our empowered ability. So if they fail their save for the Ray of Enfeeblement, they lose 10 strength. That's a fucking big fuck you to a bad guy. Even those trolls that have like a strength of 40 and 50, they still feel that shit. Their swing is much worse. Their damage output's much worse. You will definitely see the appeal. Don't stack it on them because it doesn't work that way. Don't zip them and zip them again. Hit them once, call it good, move on to the next guy, or kill the motherfucker. But if he made the check, and he probably will, because again, it's a fortitude save, and trolls are fucking notorious for making those saves. Well, what happens? That 10 gets cut in half. He still loses 5. That's still a plus, I mean, that's well, minus. You get the idea. A plus for you. A bonus is what I'm saying. Helps you out. And again, because it was empowered, that's why it's as high as it is. Best case scenario on that, by the way, for that spell is I think 1d6 plus 5. Excuse me, starting to lose my voice already. 1d6 plus 5 is base. Again, we can intensify that, we can empower that, and again, that's what I'm suggesting here. So if you did that 1d6 plus 5, I think we'll cap out at like 1d6 plus 7 or so for us. But having said that, it could be a little higher, but let's just say 7. So let's say max case scenarios, that 1d6 means you roll a 6 plus 7, that's 13. But remember, we empowered it. So that means we times that by 1.5. So what does that mean? Instead of 13, we add another 6 on top because it would round down, right? So it'd be 6.5. So it'd be 6 plus 7 plus another 6. So that'd be 12. That'd be 19 strength penalty is what we just fucking told you here. Now, again, he makes the save. Cut that 19 in half. Again, round down. 19 dropping down to 9. Okay. We still penalize that motherfucker. Even if he makes the check, which is likely, he's still losing 9 strength. Tell me that shit ain't fucking appealing. I'm just saying, there's plenty of ways for you to soften up targets, wound the team, bad guys, buff your team, do damage, be an effective meleeer and attacker using this build. Last thing to talk about before we show you some shit is going to be weapons. Now, of course, I had the rapier equipped originally. Just no particular reason to grab this one other than it's agile. But there's a shit ton of agile rapiers. Let me see if I can find you my list here. We'll go by, wait, it's probably an easier way of doing that. Where you at, you little bastards? Here we go. Putrid Blade, plus 3 agile. Corrosive set or so forth, other shit associated with it, but I'm not talking about that. So that was Putrid Blade. Grabbed it twice by mistake. Notice we got Revelry. This one is not agile, so again, your strength will take into effect, and then, yeah, you lose out on some damage. Whatever, I don't fucking care. Notice the immunity to fear and death effects and continuous freedom of movement while it's in your little fingies. And it's a plus 5 weapon, and it has the highest crit range, and it's holy and anarchic and all the shit that's applicable for. Notice that we have Stratagem, a lame agile weapon. It's only plus 2, but again, so fucking what? And as you'll see, I have a spell for you that will allow you to literally take your your weapons that are less than plus 5, say it this way, all the way up to plus 5. So that's awesome. So don't even look at the plus 2 part. Just know that you're going to be better than that. And that's fucking awesome. And there's even more. We have other rapiers like Vein Finder, another agile bleeding weapon. But that's the one that I have equipped right now. And there's other rapiers besides. I didn't grab all of them. I just was trying to show you the fact that there's a bunch in the fucking game. And like there's like 8 or 9 named rapiers in the game. That's how fucking many there are. It's that fucking cool. And again, high crit range, some really nice crit potential for your character when you are meleeing, when you feel the need to melee. And your character in this build right now can do that. Having said that, these sling staffs. So we have, let me find the other one real quick first because there's 4 named ones and I want you to see all 4 of them. Oh, where are you, little bastard? Right here. So you have, nope, that's the arsonist. Avalanche. Thought I grabbed that one already. Avalanche? Yeah, I have Avalanche. Where's the other one? Damn you. I didn't sell it, did I? Oh, I hate when I do that shit. Give me a second, guys. No, yeah. Arsonist, no, it's not that one. Avalanche, not that. There we go. Vengeance of the Meek is your 4th. Okay, so let's go in reverse order. Vengeance of the Meek, plus 2, ignore that. Remember, you can get it to plus 5, but notice that's Giant Bane. What does that mean? Well, anything that's considered a giant, which includes trolls, it is a plus 2 better weapon. So if I modify this to make it a plus 5 weapon, and I attack a troll, it's technically a plus 7. So plus 7 to swing, plus 7 to damage. And you may think, well, that's nice. It's not amazing. I mean, we're already swinging like a champ, and the extra damage is appreciated, but it's only 2 points of damage. But remember, when it's a Giant Bane weapon, not only does it give you a plus 2 to the weapon modifier, so again, instead of being plus 2, it goes to plus 4, in our case, plus 5 going to plus 7, it also does 2d6 of extra damage to the motherfucker. So again, not only do we get 2 extra damage, we got 2 plus 2d6 extra damage. So that's 4 to 14. That's not bad. Again, only against that damage type. But again, fucking cool, right? Then we have Carefree Hunter. Notice this one. It's a weird one. This one's a bonus to your dexterity. But remember, it's a morale bonus. As you see, my dex went up 2 points. Remember, morale bonus matters because when you rage, or urban blood rage, it is a morale bonus to dex. So this plus 2 is not going to work for you. because when you Blood Rage, you go from +4 to +6 to +8 eventually. So this will not stack with it. But until that time, or maybe you want to just switch it over to Strength. So it's a +8 to Strength. You get yourself up to a fucking 30. Because 38 and 14 here is a nice fucking number. Don't kid yourself. And having this go up from fucking 6 to a +10, fucking hell yeah. So again, you can mix and match. Maybe you just want extra con, so you have extra fucking HP, better fortitude saves. Again, your choice. But my point is this is still a solid weapon. And a luck bonus to mobility. And that's something we could definitely benefit from, because our mobility, while already high, I'll take more. And all you have to do is have it equipped in your hands. Then you have the Avalanche Sling Staff, does frost damage on each hit, which will fucking take extra cold damage. That sounds nice. It's a +3 weapon. Ignore that, because again, it can be +5. Notice it's a +2 morale bonus to damage. Now, the downside of this one is, remember, if you have Good Hope cast on yourself, remember, you also have a morale bonus to your damage as well. So again, they won't stack. But you're going to run out of spells someday. So again, why not have a +2 to your damage? And do 1d6 of cold damage on top of it. And have it be a +5 weapon. Best case scenario. So it's still a solid fuck you choice. Notice, you also get a free spell once a day. It's not amazing, but Stone Call's decent and you are a ranged attacker. The AoE is huge. It's not about the damage, it's about keeping them off your face. So you cast that at full fucking range, probably playing solo. The bad guys have to wade through those fucking stones. It makes them move slow. You're zipping around that fucking field of stones because you don't want to get caught in that shit. So you're keeping it at distance and still wailing on them with your fucking sling staff. Pop, pop, pop in the face. Pretty cool, right? Just saying, it's a definite upgrade. But this is the one that, again, you really want. The Arsonist Sling Staff, which we've already talked about. So that's the build. Let's fucking kill some shit, Brothermutant. Alright, fine. Let's go kill some shit. Come on, team. You're with me. I'm going to swap her out with this character, because this was the original one, and I rehashed her spell picks and everything else. Oh, that's one thing I forgot to tell you. Damn it. Spells. Okay. So, of course, we talked about our free spells, and, of course, just as a quick reminder, Sense Vitals, Good Hope, Greater Invis, Freedom of Movement if you feel you need it, and Dimension Door if you feel you need it. But these are basically like mulligans. You can totally pick different shit. I don't feel bad. But for our Abyssal Bloodline for free, we get Ray of Enfeeblement, Bold Strength, Rage, and Stone Skin. Okay, now, on to our spell picks. Notice anytime we got a fire spell, you look at it. It's not just mean you pick it, but you look at it. Because there's some good ones and there's some shit ones. So we're taking all the good ones for you, is my opinion. So Burning Hands, Shield for some nice protection, because while you could wield a shield, you can't wield it while you're slinging your sling staff. And again, Rapiers can be wielded two-handed if you're off-hands free. So that's why the shield spell. Snowball, again, ray spells, solid choice for this build. Ranged attack, and again, no spell resistance. You gotta love that. Cold damage, so again, different elemental damage types are going to be another key here. And there's an effect, and again, Conjuration. Remember, Evocation, though, gets a bonus to damage, period, thanks to Blood Havoc. And we get extra bonus if it's fire damage, which, of course, all of our spells do. Like, right now, my Snowball spell does fire damage, thanks to my Rod of Flaming Vengeance. My magic missiles strike for fucking fire damage because of my Rod of Flaming. It's fucking weird, man. But it's fucking cool. Now, notice again, we got Snowball, we got Shocking Grasp. Again, you may say, well, you're not really a meleeer, but if you had that weapon finesse, which we do, that dexterity, we walk right the fuck over and boop, right on the shoulder. It's so fucking easy for us to hit targets because you have such a high attack bonus. It's fucking crazy. So this is nice. Ray of Enfeeblement, again, was free. We'll take it. True Strike, you may be like, why bother? You're fucking swinging like a champ. Yeah, but sometimes you want to hit shit, and I'll show you a trick with that later. And Magic Missile, again, sometimes you just want to fucking hit shit. So fucking hit shit. Do your Magic Missile. Have some fun. Sense Vitals was free. Well, picked as a free pick. Scorching Ray, obvious. Acid Arrow much later, but again, still an obvious pick. We got Mirror Image for some protection. Fiery Runes. This one I hemmed and hawed about getting. I didn't get it on the original build because she was all about ranged. But then I decided to swap in for power attack and weapon finesse. That's why we have it. And the reason this is important is because this only works on melee weapons. If you're a full-on ranged attacker, don't bother picking this spell. But this will allow us to take our Rapier, for example, and charge it up once, and once only, even though it says it lasts for many, many minutes. That's how long the buff stays on it until you discharge it. Once you discharge it once, it's a one and done. But it only does 5d4 plus 5 damage to whoever you hit with your Rapier, or melee weapon. Well, yes, that's true, but remember, we're getting 5d4 plus 5, and then we're also getting 5 more for it being an evocation spell, Blood Havoc, for our fucking Flame Staff, for our necklace, and our fucking rose. So that's another 20. So it's actually 5d4 plus 25. So we're doing 30 to 20 and 25. It's 45 damage on a fucking spell that we're smacking them in the face with. And that may not sound amazing compared to some of the other shit we can do, but hey man, sometimes it's just fun to fucking set shit on fire. Let's just say it. Scorching Ray, a solid spell. Again, should reiterate the fact that it's an evocation spell, or iterate that it's an evocation spell, and iterate the fact that it's 3 beams for you, 4d6 of damage. All of those can be sneak attack damage, which by the way, same as like Snowball, Shocking Grasp, because again, melee touch attacks and ranged touch attacks. You can't sneak attack Rave and Enfeeblement, by the way. But you can with Scorching Ray, and all 3 beams could get sneak attack if we set it up right. Thanks to Sense Vitals and Greater Invis, it's more likely than not to work for us. Having said that, fire damage, evocation. So of course, Blood Havoc works. Our blood intensity will not work on this one though. 46 3 times is all you're going to get. But 46 plus 4, or yeah, plus 4, plus another 4, plus another 4, plus another 4, plus 1 more because it's within close range, which means point blank shot's going to kick in. So we get like a plus 17 to the damage of each of these fucking beams, and they can all sneak attack, and all give us fucking extra fire damage from those sneak attacks. So again, can be some serious fucking fun here. Weight, bull strength for free, may not be important to you, but remember, you didn't get strength buffs anytime soon. So unless you got a belt of strength plus 4, which you should do if you want a power attack, until that time, bull strength is still useful for you. As a ranged attacker, you may say, why? Remember, your sling staff. Sling staff works for dexterity to hit, strength for damage. So with that strength of 10, you ain't getting any damage bonus. Buff yourself up to a strength of 14. It's at least plus 2 to your damage. You'll fucking take it. And it's least helpful. And from that point on, you probably use it once you get better gear to someone on your team. Notice I grabbed blindness. There wasn't much else to pick here that I gave a shit about besides our acid arrow and seeing fizz. So I took another necromancy spell, fortitude save, but remember you have that rod. I told you had some necromancy spells that have a DC check. Here's one of them. Another one was again Rave Enfeeblement back here. So again, we have at least a couple. Seeing Viz, we didn't get blind fight, so I said, what the hell, might as well take it. An acid arrow, again, solid spell choice. Right now it's doing fire damage thanks to that rod that we have equipped. But again, it can do sneak attack damage. We get extra damage because it's fire, technically, and no spell resistance on that fucker. But obviously, if you want to hit somebody with some serious fire damage with some sneak attack potential, it's not acid arrow. You'll be using Snowball. Let's just be honest. And by the way this works, the first hit will be fire damage. Every tick thereafter will turn into acid. So it's kind of weird. But again, it's kind of nice to have that 1-2 combo, because sometimes you won't know that they're resistant to fire. You'll be like, ah, shit, that didn't do nothing. And the next round it ticks acid on them. They're like, oh, they're susceptible to acid. Good to know. So again, there's reasons to want it. It's just glitchy. Level 3, Good Hope, we picked it as a free spell pick. Fireball, Doi. Didn't take Lightning Bolt, you'll see. But I got Earth Tremor, so I'm so happy with that. Channel Vigor is a nice buff. Greater Magic Weapon's a nice buff. Keen Edge does not work on your staff. Only on piercing and slashing weapons. But remember, we got a rapier. Get that fucker to the fullest range of its the crit range. So instead of 18, 19, and 20, with this buff for long minutes of time, you're going to have a 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, a chance to crit. That's fucking huge. Cloak of Winds, a nice protection from you. It's actually a penalty to the bad guy's ranged attacks on you. But it's the same as saying I get plus 4 armor. That's fucking nice though, right? And again, you're a ranged attacker. More likely than not, that's how they're going to fucking hit you. So again, a nice penalty to their swing, bonus to your armor, however you want to look at it. Rage was free, don't care. This will be one you keep in your back pocket, and when you may say this is garbage, and it certainly is, for this build it definitely is, still it's a buff. I mean, as bad as it is, you're out of spells, this is your last spell, you're not going to cast any more spells, you might as well cast it on yourself, because it's a +2 to strength and con, +1 to your will saves, penalty to your armor class, but you know, whatever. And again, you're going to fatigue, no fatigue from the end of this, never mind. You can't cast spells in this form, but again, if it's your last spell, that's fine. Earth Tremor, the reason I took this was for no other reason than, of course, it is no spell resistance and solid AoE damage, whether it's centered on you in a big circle, a cone in front of you, or a long strip of beam. 10d4 could be intensified with our blood intensify ability up to like 19d4 for us, so not bad. So again, pretty nice, successful fucking damage there, and it's got some other fiddly bits associated with it. So a solid spell pick. Greater Invis, again, free spell pick. Dragon's Breath, obvious reasons, not just because it's fire, but again, fire is the main reason. And 12d6, we can actually get this up to 20d6 for sure, if not 21d6, because again, that Rod of Vengeance, the Flaming Vengeance, gives us a +1 to our spellcaster level. It doesn't show up here though, which is kind of annoying. Fire shield. Again, I don't care about the fire or cold damage. Yes, we'll get extra damage thanks to all the cool little things that we have on us that buff cold and of course fire damage, but it's only going to add like 3 to 4 points of fucking damage. Ring a ding ding. But it's there. Hey, you'll take it. It's the protection from fire or cold, depending on which buff you cast on yourself. It halves the damage. And of course, if you make a saving throw that halves the damage, it halved it again. So we're basically down to like a quarter damage from fire or cold attacks, depending on which buff we use. Innervation, again, another ray spell. You're awesome at, ignore the duration. That won't matter. You're going to kill the motherfucker. But 1 to 4 levels, it stacks on itself. So again, if you just did nothing but beam, 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 beam a motherfucker 4 times, use all your spells on him at once. Well, 4 rounds, you know what I mean. It will fuck the guy up. I mean, quite frankly, even if they fucking, because there's no save, you hit them, it's likely you're going to. Even if you roll 1s every time, which is unlikely, but let's just say you did. You took 4 levels off that son of a bitch. That's 20 points of damage he took, which is not that big of a deal. But he also fucking lowered his saving throws by 4. All of them. Reflex, will, fortitude. So then every other spell we have below level 4, because you burnt up all your 4 uses a day on that shit. So again, when you start slinging out fireballs at the fucker, he's at a -4 to his save. And that's minimum, and it's unlikely that you're going to hit a 1 every fucking time. So again, on average, what you do to get an average for shit like this, when it's a 1d4, you take the low roll, 1, the high roll, 4, add them together, 5, divide by 2. The average is 2.5. So if you hit him 4 times, times 2.5, that's what? 8? You could probably expect to sap him from 10 fucking levels. That may kill him. If he's level 10 or lower, 10 level drains like that will kill the motherfucker. So if you take him to level 0 or lower, they die. But even if he survives, because again, high in content, they're level 13, 15, 20, whatever. You take 10 levels off them, that's a -10 to their fucking saves, man. That's fucking powerful. Just saying. And we can intensify that, or not intensify, so we can empower that. We can maximize that. We can do both. So remember, if you maximize and empower this with that Grandmaster's Rod, say 3 times, you're not getting a 4, bitch. You're getting a 6 3 times. Beam, beam, beam. They stack. He's at -18, assuming all 3 hit, and he's not immune to the effect, because that's the thing. That's big. That's real big. This is a boss-killing beam. If not killing, setting him up to be killed. Good enough for me. Wall of Fire, not the best spell ever. We're kind of running out of shit, as you can see here, and I may pick it later, but Wall of Fire is still decent. We're doing extra damage because of the 2d6 plus 8 more plus 20 more thanks to that. So you're at 2d6 plus 28. If I can make myself immune to fire, that's the only weakness here. If I can make myself immune to fire, which I do not have, this would be an amazing spell, because you could stand in that fucking Wall of Fire and fucking lob fucking your spells and your sling stones at the motherfuckers at range. When they melee you, so what? They're in the goddamn Wall of Fire with you, burning their fucking happy asses off. That's fucking cool, but we don't have immunity to fire, which is the only real bummer of this build, in my opinion. Stone's getting free, you'll take it, buff up with it, make sure to pack your diamond dust. Freedom of movement, we took as a free spell pick. Again, don't necessarily need it, but I still like having it on tap. Control Fireball, again, you may think overkill because we have Fireball, and now we have Dragon's Breath that does 12d6 of damage. Why the fuck you want to go back to 10d6? Well, again, we're not immune to fire, and sometimes you get trapped in a corner, especially when you're running solo. They're all on you. It falls to you and you alone. You can't hit everyone around you in a fucking circle with Dragon's Breath. You can, however, spam the shit at your fucking featsies, and since you're immune to the effects thanks to the effect of Controlled Fireball, you can do that and hit everyone around you in a fucking circle. And this still is 10d6, could be intensified to 19d6, just like we saw with Fireball. And it's a higher DC check, by the way, because it is a level 4 spell proper. So again, pretty decent. Dimension Door, free spell pick. Again, I told you why. You don't have to take that. But again, solid choice. Let's get inside and kill some shit. In we go. Sure. Okay, so of course my staple is to fight trolls. We will do so. I'm going to do it's just a few fights here just to show you some clicky abilities that you're going to want to do. Show you how your stats are going to change once you rage, your control blood rage, and all that fun jazz. So for those of you that haven't seen any of the other videos, you get a good feel for what the hell we're doing just by watching this video. So let's actually pull the team here. But our main character, we're going to pull up here into this podium. And I'm going to tell you why. Remember, she's ranged, so we want to be high. high up. That doesn't impact the game. It impacts the fact that they'll have to walk the fuck around to here to come up to here and stab you in the face. So again, you want distance is my point. Okay? So now that everyone's where they should be, come on, slackers. Fucking seriously. We want to do bag of tricks, and we want to come down here where it says spawn units. We're going to go unit type, and we're going to type in type, troll, semicolon, CR, colon, and I know there's a troll, a couple of them that's level 15. So the Berserker one we don't want, the Veteran one we do, and there's a reason for the Veteran over the Berserker. We have to make them hostile, so in case you didn't see that, I clicked them on the hostile. All we have to do is press the backspace, and one of them will spawn. Every time I spawn them, it'll be where the cursor's at, so I can go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and just like surround myself with a shit ton of these fuckers. But first I want to save, because we're going to come back to this fight all the time to restart the fight. I can show you with buffage and shit like that, but I want to show you some stuff. So first, notice that we have our Blood Rage for Dexterity down here. Again, you have 3 choices. So we have Dex, we have Con, we have Strength. It's your choice. Obviously, I'm going Dex, but you could go for Con. You could go for Strength if you think it would help you in a specific situation. Like maybe you have Rapier, but you don't have an Agile Rapier, and you really think that extra damage is going to matter, and your bonus to swing is already good. I mean, fucking Jesus Christ, look at you right now. You're fucking rocking a 20 Bab, a Dexterity of 13, and a size bonus besides. If you put on any magical Rapier, let's just say you have a Rapier +1. With these stats, you're sitting at a 20, 33, 34, 35 with a +1 from the Rapier. That's it. That's pretty fucking good for a swing, man. And again, it's a generic +1 Rapier. That's some bullshit. So again, you're doing well. So feel free to buff Strength. Get some more damage out of your character. There's nothing wrong with that. But remember, it's a morale bonus. The morale bonus when we rage will not stack with the morale bonus that we get from being the Abyssal Rage. The one that gives us +2, +4, eventually +6. So the best case scenario is that's only going to bring another 2 to the table. But hey, man, maybe that's necessary. You know, that extra point of damage might be what finishes the bastard off. I'm not going to tell you not to do it. Notice, of course, we have down here our Sunder Armor. But we have our Blood Casting ability, Blood Piercing. Over here, I keep my Blood Intensity because it's with our spells that we're going to do damage with. This is our Demonic Aura. Again, leave it on if no one's around you, especially if you're running solo, because you'll just shit fire in a circle that won't hurt you, but hurts everyone that gets up and in your face. Otherwise, I'll leave it off. And again, turn it on in a moment's notice. It's not a big fucking deal in combat. This is our Infinite Use Laser Beam, which is basically Scorching Ray for free. And it is Scorching Ray. It's considered an evocation spell. We get all the fire damage from it, all the bonuses to fire damage and evocation, thanks to Blood Havoc. We get extra damage from it. We get point blank shot bonus because of it. It's just like Scorching Ray. Always for free. And you may say, well, then why get Scorching Ray? Because you're not going to have that at the beginning. And sure, once you have this, I suppose you could spec out of this, but there's not much at level 2 that I cared about. But it's on you. You could totally do that and convince me it's worth doing. Again, I'm not going to use this necessarily, but again, you could use this. There is a reason to use this, again, especially with us going Rapier and having weapon finessing melee attacks. Raging this way while taking away our spells, it gives us A, 2 pets, and B, a +4 to our swing and to our damage, because it's a morale bonus to those things. But again, it won't stack with our Good Hope morale bonus to swing and damage. But again, +4 is better than +2, so, you know, grain of salt here. Still worth doing. It's just, I think you have a better hat choice. We'll talk about that probably at the end, show you what I would suggest. Okay? So let's actually fucking bust out a couple of trolls. Hey guys, what's y'all doing? Remember, the reason we went veteran, guard veteran troll versus the berserker is sneak attack potential. We don't have buffs yet. We haven't buffed up for sneak attack, but we could. And for instance, we have a troll. Let's see, did they fucking surprise us? Not sure. So what I'm thinking is this. Notice, for a free action, sometimes if you get to act first, you can activate this toggle. This is called Blood Casting. For any spell you have that's level 1 and 2, you can, once while raging, very the start of your round while raging, you can literally cast a personal effect spell on yourself, like a shield spell, for example, like instantaneously. It's a free action. We'll see it here. So watch this. See the over here where it's shield spell shows up under here? Boom. I can Like, oh shit, I got jumped. Free action shield spell. I'm protected now. Or, oh shit, I'm jumped and I want to hit the motherfucker. True Strike. And you may say, oh, well, True Strike, that's a plus 20 to your swing. Do you really need it though? Because you're swinging like a fucking boss. Sure, but a plus 20 is a plus 20, and True Strike does more than that. For example, it's plus 20 only for your very next swing. In this case, since we're using it as a free action, it'll be a swing this fucking round probably. And this is the fun part, and True Strike, while it only works on the very first swing after you cast the spell, it also ignores concealment bonuses. That includes total concealment. So if the motherfucker has a minus, like a 50% miss chance, like he's invisible, or he has displacement on, remember I had improved precise shot. That only ignores partial concealment. That's a 20% miss chance, just gone. But if it's 50% and I still want to hit the motherfucker, this is my way of doing it. Okay, so again, there was a reason for True Strike. And again, the only reason I like True Strike in this particular instance is because sometimes I can use it as a free action. And it's because of this. Remember, one and done. You're only getting one, every fight, you can only do this one time. And it's the very first round of the fight. And it doesn't always work. Because again, if both of the trolls act first and some of your team acts first, then you don't get the ability to do blood casting. So again, high dexterity build though, it's high initiative. It's a pretty good safe bet that you will be able to use this. That's kind of cool. But again, I can do stuff like Sense Vitals, bitch, and a moment's notice. It was my free action. Notice how it went dark, and now I can't do it again for the rest of the fight. So again, one and done. So decide what buff you want to use. The best thing about this, though, is when I said it works for spells level 1 and 2, notice that at level 20, which we are, it works for all of our spells level 1 through 4, but again, only the ones that are a personal effect spell or a touch friendly buff spell, like Bull Rush or Bull String. You can touch an ally or yourself with this spell, and it buffs you. It's level 1, level 2, level 3, level 4. Doesn't matter because, again, we're at level 20, so it works on any of those. If it's a ranged buff spell, like, I know I got one of them. Do I have one of them? Touch, personal. Like, I think this one won't work because it's ranged. Even though the range could be you, like you click yourself, it's not the point because it's ranged. You would not be able to fucking free action that shit. Just so we're clear on stuff like that. But we want to hit a troll. This guy moved. I don't know if this guy moved, so I'm gonna assume he did not. So what we're gonna do is let's see if we can just fucking pew his ass. I got sneak attack on the first beam. So look what we got there. Sneak attack, solid 35 to the swing. Notice our +4 thanks to our ambrosial attire. I forgot to shut off rapid shot or deadly aim, and those are penalties. And that's not giving us any buff with these ray spells, so that was a mistake. You would want to shut deadly aim off at least, because that -6 is fucking you. Because there, if you had this 8 points back instead of a 35, this would have been a fucking 43 for a touch attack. For a dude that's flat-footed, you're gonna fucking hit. You, of course, get the natural crit 1, and those will piss you off beyond all measure in the crit failure. But it's one of those, something you have to deal with. But notice our hit. 46 plus 17 is going to be a staple for this attack. Why? Because 16 is coming from Blood Havoc. It's an evocation spell. The flaming staff you have in your hand is another +4. Another +4 from your necklace. Another +4 from your fucking robes. And +1 more. That's why it's 17, not 16. Thanks to it being point-blank shot. So that 17 is always going to be there. So 4d6 plus 17. And again, we could have made this better by like maximizing it to guarantee 24. So 24 and 17 would have been what? 41 damage. That could have been 41 damage, boom, 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 if we maximized that shit. Or we could have empowered it. And remember, the empowered doesn't work on just this number. It works on the whole fucking damage, I believe. So it would be 4d6 plus 17, whatever that is, in this case 29, multiply the 29 by 1.5. And as you can see, that's been a solid fucking attack again. If damn near, was it 14 more points, that'd been a 39, it'd been a 43 damage. So Empower is technically better than Maximized. In this instance alone, but usually it's still a solid choice. I'm just saying, that would have done solid damage. But notice, of course, the sneak attack worked. 5d6 plus 20. And it turns out then again, we do get the Blood Havoc kicking in here, because that's why we got 20. +4 from each of those buffs. Sorry, +5 from each of those buffs, because it's 5 dice. So 5 came from Blood Havoc, 5 came from the staff, 5 came from the necklace, 5 came from the robe. That's why it's 20. 4 of them buffs plus 20. No point blank shot on that shit. So again, that's a solid fuck you. Hell, we did more damage with the sneak attack than we did with the actual attack. And that's just the first beam. Now imagine if we had greater invis on ourselves, where it was possible for all 3 of those to be sneak attack potential. And now you see the appeal of this build. Okay? And remember, we have infinite use of that fucking spell. So we can fucking capitalize on it. Notice, of course, this one here, sneak attack on this one. It says sneak attack, but it didn't kick. And it says this one was sneak attack, but it didn't kick. That's a little weird. Yeah. No, whatever. Doesn't matter. Still hit him solid. He was still flat-footed. Still easy to hit him. And we did the 46 plus 17 damage 2 separate more times. So again, a solid fuck you to that guy. Hell, we fucking took him down to half health with the use of a quick use spell, which is going to last for, what, 2 minutes on us? Okay, 2 minutes, 2 minutes in 1 round. Remember, our Rod of Flaming Vengeance, we are caster level 21, technically. So, instead of it be 2 minutes, it's just a little bit longer. So 21 rounds instead of 20. But that's cool. Let these guys come around. Yeah, they've got the flame aura on. The one I told you should shut off if you're around the game. Now, before we go further, I want to show you, while raging, our buffs. Where the hell's my strength? Where the hell's my strength bonus? Oh, am I looking at the wrong character? Ha! I'm looking at the wrong character. I was clicking at her. Sorry. Like, what the hell? I know I got an 8 for my goddamn Star Soldier's Gauntlet. There we go. So, this is the 28. You're raging. The Abyssal Blood Rage, remember, for your being the Abyssal Bloodline. That's the morale bonus. The +2, 4, then eventually 6 by the end of the build. That's what we're talking about here. So again, +9, like I said. Notice how it's the same as Charisma. So when we have stuff that says Strength or Charisma, whichever's higher, doesn't matter. They're both the same. So we know you're getting a +9 to whatever that fucking thing is. Like Blood Intensity is what I'm thinking of. But there's other examples of that too. Notice our dex is at a solid 44, dude. +17. To your swing, whether it's talking a weapon finesse weapon, so melee, or ranged weapon. It could be a bow, it could be a crossbow, it could be a slingshot, it could be a dart, it could be a throwing axe. We're getting a fucking +17 to throwing that shit. Then we have a BAB at 20. That's fucking retarded. Right here, we've got a size bonus besides, so we're looking at any kind of attack that we could possibly issue out right now. Would be at a 20, 17, and 1, add all that shit together. That's what you would expect to hit with. And that's not even counting the fact that it could be a magic weapon. It's not counting the fact that we can buff ourselves with Good Hope. It's not counting a lot of fucking shit that we could buff ourselves with right fucking now. Just saying, there's a lot of fun to be had with this build. Notice, and of course, our reflexes went even higher. The will save doesn't say anything about the bonuses that we get, but I still maintain that this should work. If it doesn't, oh well, it's only 4. But still, I would have hoped that it worked. And they left it in here for Urban Bloodrager, so I assume it works. That's why I say that. There's no way for me to test it without finding some bad guy that has the ability to do that crazy ass shit. So here we are. Now you may say, well, I don't want to have these guys up and in my face while I'm attacking, because that's going to fucking suck. I don't want that. So what do I do? Well, I want to get the fuck out of there, so I can either, where is it at? Level 4? I can either, nope, teleport the fuck out and make myself go boop and make them fucking walk around the long way again while I'm fucking giving in the next round attack, attack, attack. Or I could just sidestep their ass. I'm far enough away now that I feel like I can still attack them. What would I attack them with? Well, instead of doing the 1, how about we damage both the fuckers? So let's activate, say, the Grand Master's Rod of Awesomeness. Let's get our Blood Intensity up. And how about we do a nice little Dragon's Breath in the motherfucker? Nice fire. Dragon's Breath. I can do the beam, which shoots even farther, as you can see. Really nice range on that son of a bitch. Or I can do the cone. Your choice. I'm getting with either of them, so it doesn't matter. Let's just do the cone. Whoa. Pause that shit, just so we can fucking look at some stuff. So what do we hit them fuckers with? So here's the reflex saving throw failed. DC of 27. How did it get to be 27? So follow the math. DC is always 10, plus the level of the spell, in this case level 4. So we're at 14. Plus our casting stat, which should be 9 for charisma, right? So 14 plus 9 is 23. Where'd the other 4 come from? We had spell focus evocation, So that's putting it up 1. And we have the Rod of Flaming Vengeance that puts up our Evocation Spells another 3. So we got technically a +4 to all our Evocation Spells for DC check. That's why it went from fucking 23 to a 27. That's not bad. That is not bad. I mean, I'd love it to be in the 30s, but you know, I can't fucking quibble. This is still a solid DC check. And again, he failed it, so he took full fucking damage. What was full damage? 21d6 plus 84 equals 315 points of fire damage because it was powered and maximized. Look at Jesus Christ, all that fucking numbers right there. That's AoE, son. That's fucking power. And yeah, you don't have many spells. I fucking get that. It's one of those where people can be like, you only can do that 3 times a day or 4 times a day and then you're screwed. Yeah, but then you're fucking swinging like a goddamn champ with a +20 bab, blood raging like a son of a bitch. Hell, you fucking melee with this build and still be fine. You're gonna do what you need to fucking do. Let's do something else. So I showed you the blood intensity and of course the Grandmaster's Rod of fucking awesomeness. It's not the only thing we can fucking do though. So let's do another test with a few things. What else might we do? Well, make sure they get their turn because they're cheating little bastards. For whatever reason, these guys always get to fucking ass first. I don't understand this. But I get to go now. And again, notice how I have my blood casting ability. I don't need sense files though. Maybe I really want to see if I can teleport. Oh, no fucking way. Oh, no, it wasn't a free action. I was hoping it was a free action. Let's do free mode moving on ourselves. So now I don't have to worry about being paralyzed in a fight. Don't need to worry about web spells going down from maybe my teammates protecting me, you know, slowing the bad guys down, giving me a chance to move and maneuver, right? Perfectly viable option. Skip your turn, skip your turn, skip your turn. Okay, so let's say I want to just straight up hurt something. Let's take our character this way. Now you'll notice that when I move away, I see the red dots that are spawning from me. You see how they're green right now? Watch how they go to red. That means it's an attack of opportunity is going to happen on me. Do I fucking care? A little. What's the chances it's going to hit me? What is my fucking armor class right now? 40 goddamn 3. And again, if I had buffed up with a shield spell, it would have been a 47. I could have buffed up with a haste spell or something similar called Channel Vigor, which is haste but just for myself, and I could have had another +1 on that, so instead of 47 I could have been in a 48. And there's a couple other things I probably could have done that would have protected me a little bit, you know, like mirror image or so forth. But he hit, still reduced the damage, and that's because of my ring, only 2 points, but I'll fucking take it, and it still allows me to fucking hit somebody. So what do I want to hit him with? How about we do just a simple fucking fireball spell? Get off my team, bitch. 72 and 36, so obviously someone made a reflex save. 26 though. Did 10d6 plus 40 damage, minimum 50, maximum would have been 100, because 16 and 40 is 100. If we had empowered and maximized that set instead of 100, that'd been 150. No, yeah, 150, so 100 total, yeah, 1.5. 150 AoE damage, and that was just with maximized and empowered. Remember, we did not intensify. We could have intensified that shit and brought it up another fucking notch, is my point. So we could have done hella fucking shit right there. But we didn't. So instead of the 10d6, it could have been the 19d6. Again, limited uses, but you have limited number of spells. Don't save that shit. Fucking use it when you have the opportunity on big fights, obviously. You don't fucking be stupid and say, snowball, intensified. Fuck this one guy who I probably could have killed with just the sling staff itself. Just to show you the sling staff in action. Come on, you pansies. Come and get it, coppers. Well, since I'm leery of wasting my blood casting, let's do so. Here's some of that sense files. He moved, they didn't. So we got sneak attack on at least one of these motherfuckers. It's going to be a ranged attack. Notice while we're raging, Arcane Strike is guaranteed to be on. We have power attack on that won't impact us at all because we're not using a melee weapon, so you can just leave it the fuck on. Notice that the rapid shot and deadly aim are going to be penalties for us, but whatever.
We can do it.
Boom. 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 That's 4. Oh, I missed on the 5th one, you pussy. But Could have gotten 6 attacks. Notice how I got 5. Why did I get 5? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Rapid Shot's giving me an extra one. I have 4 normally. Rapid Shot gives me 5. If I had haste on myself, I could get 6 attacks. Or have a speed weapon. I could have 6 attacks. And again, you saw all but the last one fucking hit. And it really could have fucking hit if I just had to be just a little bit better on that roll. Because the 4 kind of sucks. But I had a 20 on that shit. And again, Deadly Aim, Rapid Shot, those are penalties. I got lots of buff. I could have buffed my weapon. Remember, I have greater magic weapon. I could have made this a +5. That would have been 1 point higher. It still wouldn't have been enough. 25 instead of 30. But again, move in the right direction. And if I take that piece of gear that I'm going to show you here in a minute, that lowers your deadly aim by fucking 4 points. So instead of -6, it's -2, technically speaking. That 4, that +1 from here, that'd be 5 more points. I've been at 29. I've been textbook fucking close to hitting that motherfucker flat-footed. It's just because I'm trying on one of the harder difficulties. It's got full plate and blah, blah, blah. But basically, lots of guys we're going to hit with that fucking staff with all your attacks is my point. Again, solid damage. So we got sneak attack. It's bludgeoning damage, so we're not getting extra fire damage bonus because of that shit. The fact that the weapon does fire damage itself, again, we're not buffing that damage, which is kind of a bummer. But we did a solid 31 damage. And yes, I say 31. I know it says 32. I always refer to just the plus. Because the 1d6, that's variable. I can't fucking control that shit. But I can control the 31. The 31 is a solid fucking hit. And again, where did all that fucking damage come from? Because remember, it's showing you right now. Point blank shot's one reason. So that's why it's +1 higher. So that's that. So where's the 30 coming from? It's +9 from strength, right? Because it's a sling staff. It's a strength-based weapon. So +9 from strength. So that should be there. We're getting deadly aim is -6, so that's +12 to your damage for deadly aim. So 12 and 9 is 21. That's a +4 weapon. 25 now. The other 5 is coming from Arcane Strike, bringing it up to 30. The other 1, like we said, came from point blank shot. So again, 31 damage. That's not amazing numbers compared to what we saw in our strength-based build where we're, two-handing it with a fucking falchion or a great axe or whatever. But again, with the safety of range added to that shit, and the fact that we can just like hit them the range on that fucking thing, what is that, 50 fucking feet? That's a nice fucking ranged weapon right there. And it's bludgeoning, which I know that doesn't mean much to you guys, but just as a remember, some bad guys have protection from slashing or piercing damage. That's your crossbows, your arrows, and all that fucking shit. So you're like, well, shit, what do I do? Well, not this motherfucker. It's all bludgeoning damage. Boom, boom, boom. Hit him with stones in the fucking face and do full goddamn damage to those pricks. Solid upgrade. And again, you would probably want to have more than just the sling staff, more than just a rapier. You'd probably pack like a dart or throwing axe or a fucking crossbow or a composite longbow or a short bow, whatever. You're trained in them. Feel free to pick if you see a good weapon, use it. But notice that that arsonist staff must be in your hands to get that extra fire damage if you're casting spells. Make sure that that's something you're fucking equipping. Otherwise, you're going to feel subpar. Having said that, is there anything else really to show you? I suppose I should point out blood piercing. Remember, this is the one that lowers their energy resistance. So if they're fire resistant, we could lower it equal to a number of points based on your strength or charisma modifier. Again, both of those are the same, so it doesn't matter which one you're picking. Notice that it's going to be +9. So you're lowering their resistance to fire by 9. Well, that could be enough. That might not be anywhere near enough, but at least it's helping. And the other thing it does, and this is the important part, this lowers their spell resistance by that same number. So if they had, say, spell resistance 30, now it's 21. But remember, the reason I point this out is because of this. Remember, your robes give you spell pen +4. Remember, we don't have spell pen or greater spell pen as feats. We could have taken them. We did not choose to do so because this gave it to us technically for free. And it's not even that it gave it to us. It gave us the equivalent. The reason I say that is because if you wanted spell pen and greater spell pen, fucking have at thee, man. Take that shit. You would have a +8 to your spell pen just from the robes, those 2 feats. But again, we also have that blood piercing ability. That could add another 9 or lessen their spell resistance by 9. Same principle. So 9 and 4, which is what we have right now, technically I'm ignoring 13 spell resistance points. So if they had a spell resistance of 30, technically if I activate this and have those robes on, it's technically for me, what, a 17? That's totally passable. So again, much, much better chances for your spells to land. And again, it's important because you don't have many. That's part of the reason I like this build. Now this video's gone on definitely long enough. Hopefully Zuloph and everyone else, I've convinced you that you can really make a fun ranged Bloodrager. And again, just for shits and giggles, let's fucking melee something just to show you what you can do with an agile rapier with weapon finesse and a dexterity that's through the fucking roof. So bust out the blade. Dun dun. We'll even buff up a little bit. So let's get a little shield spell for some funsies. Do some sense vitals. Fuck it, I'll even go invisible. Cause fuck you guys, I do what I want. You're not the boss of me. And I'll even fucking throw on myself Channel Vigor Limbs. That's the one that's like the haste spell to yourself. Why I like that spell, by the way, for those of you that don't know, is because remember, this can work on any spell level 1, 2, 3, and 4 once we get to level 20. This is a personal effect spell. So if I need a moment's notice of haste, boom, here you go. Notice there's another one in here too that's important for you specifically as a ranged attacker. See the one that says mind? +4 competence bonus on knowledge. Sure, that's knowledge. Arcana for us. Perception, sweet. We can spot traps and treasure and shit even better. Awesome. Keep reading. And a +4 to your ranged attack rolls. Remember that penalty that we had from deadly aim? That's still there. -2 from rapid shot, -6 from deadly aim. With that buff, matter of fact, fuck it. Let's just throw that on. Now we're not going to do any ranged attack. But I say if we threw that buff on us, we'd be at a +4, -8. -8 coming from the rapid shot and deadly aim, +4 coming from the spell. So it's neutering it, taking it down by half. So the -8 drops down technically to like a -4. I'll fucking take that. That'll be a solid chance for your ray spells and your ranged weapon attacks to fucking hit for many, many minutes. You will appreciate those buffs. Just wanted to point that out. So let's actually just throw a motherfucker in my face. Let me get it, bitch. Stabby, stabby time. My turn. Notice I'm getting 5 attacks, and again, why 5? Remember, 4 plus the haste. Rapid shot don't work on melee attacks, remember? So 4 plus the haste, or speed weapon, same difference. So I'm gonna get 5 fucking attacks on this Baxter. Let's count and see how many I actually fucking get.
We can do it.
1, there's 2, there's 3, there's 4. Missed in the first one, and again, illustrates my point though. Critical misses fucking suck. Nothing I can fucking do about it, dude. It's gonna happen. You're gonna roll a 1. I can't help you there. But it's annoying. Notice we get a bonus to our swing because of haste, plus concealment. The magic weapon, I could have made that a +5. I just forgot to cast the greater magic weapon on it. So that could have been a +5 there, though. We're swinging at the best case scenario, like solid 38, and get that up to a 40 with a +5 weapon. That's a solid fuck. And again, we got, what's the other one? Right there, Good Hope. I could have cast that on myself. That's another +2. So I could have been at a 42 for the first fucking swing, and still with that crit failure, you're still going to miss. Ain't shit I can do about that. But we hit him on this one, 38 on the second follow-up attack. He's flat-footed, easy to hit. I mean, again, all I needed was a fucking 2 or better. That's the goal. So you only want to miss on a crit failure. And again, that's kind of what's happening here. And he was flat-footed because, again, he can't see me because of my concealment. So because greater viz was on my character. And of course, because of that, we got sneak attack and sneak attack damage. 5d6 of extra damage, baby. And a 40 goddamn 3 here. This is why I say that, that 31 was impressive, but not that impressive. This one's working out because of power attack. And again, just to reiterate, why is it 43? Let's follow the bouncing ball. Is it +9 to strength? No. Rapiers can be wielded two-handed so long as you got their spare hand free. So this 9 is actually 4 points higher. 4.5, but it rounds down. So 9 actually turns into a 13 here. So we have 13 of the 43 right now because of that. Then power attack -6, not +12, because again, 2 hands wield that weapon. So instead of it being +12, it's +18. So 18 and 13 are what? 28, 31. So where's the other 12 coming from? 3's coming from the weapon. So what would we just say? So 13 and 18 is 28, 31, plus 3 is 34, plus 5 from the Arcane. Where's that? The Arcane Strike, plus 5 from the Arcane Strike, so what did I say? 18, 31, 34, 39, and it's a +4 weapon. No, I'm missing 4 points somehow. What did I buff up with that gave me another 4 points of damage? Don't don't know. What am I missing, guys? Oh, ha! This is an agile weapon. Ha! We're not using the 13, we're using the 17. 13's nice. 17's nicer. And again, we don't get to do 50% damage with that. That's the bummer on this part of the agile weapon. Whatever, I don't care. 17's still better than 13. The extra force coming from that. It's an agile weapon, so we're using our dex modifier for both the attack and the damage. There we go. That's why the 43 is so damn impressive. And then, again, 1d4, that's shit. Who cares? It's because you're a teeny tiny person. That's why it's 1d4 instead of 1d6. But it's the 43. That's the number to focus on here. And when it crits, it's only double the damage, but 43 times 2, that's fucking impressive damage when that bastard crits. And again, we got some sneak attack love on there. Here's a nice critical hit and sneak attack all in one. I fucking put out 111 points of damage on that son of a bitch with that one hit alone. We did it again down here with another 103. Again, best crit range weapon. And remember, we did not buff up like we should have. We could have cast Keen Edge on that weapon, not ensuring more, well, yeah, it ensures more crits or more chance of crits. Let's just say it that way. And that's definitely something of value. So what I mean is this spell right here. Notice that it gives us a choice of offhand versus main hand. You want the main hand. And this is a personal effect or touch effect spell. So again, if you forget, it's the start of a combat. Oh shit, I need to put the Keen Edge on. Don't forget you got your blood casting here. So again, now if you look at that weapon, that's the best crit range right there I can give you, man. And a fucking solid dexterity besides for an agile weapon that you're gonna fucking choppity chop with. Again, this still maintains, I maintain this is still a ranged attacking build, but he can put numbers on the fucking board at melee. So again, solid for both categories, decent spell casting, definite fun to be had. Last thing to fucking show you, because I almost forgot, we want to show you, oh shit, I can't do it right now. Oh, we gotta kill this bastard. You need to die.
Strike with all your might.
Hey, someone shoot him with fire. Now I can do it. I wanted to gift myself some stuff to do that. I mean, I might be able to look at it, but I think it glitches if you have stuff here. So we're going to go here. We're searching all the objects, enable filters. The only object we care about are hats. So headwear. So delete all that shit. Type in A, just one letter A, search. And if it gives you everything, or gives you anything other than saying there's too many, if it gives you the too many, you have to narrow your search. If this shows up, you've probably picked every headpiece. How can I say that just because I searched for A? Because A is going to be in every fucking description somewhere. You know, like literally it could be in the name, fear, got an A in it here. A also falls in grant. A also falls in persuasion. Again, you see A's everywhere. You could have done E, you could have done I. Just pick a fucking vowel, except for maybe U. But like A, E, I, O probably is going to fall under every category. You'll see just as many choices. But I wanted to show you headpieces because remember we said we didn't like that hat because raging for us is still okay if we're going to melee. So it's not the worst idea ever. But if you wanted something a little more protection-wise, you could give yourself this. And while the charisma bonus won't really do you much good, because remember you got the cloak that's +8. Until you get that cloak, +6 is still good. And it's just an easy helmet to get. And it's +6 to wisdom, better saves, better perception, better something else, lore nature, lore religion, which you don't care about. But again, still better will saves, better perception check. You'll appreciate those. And DR 5 against physical attacks except bludgeoning. So again, some stacking, or like not stacking, sorry, layering of some DR for your character. Don't like that. Other ones that I liked that were of interest to me. Is it the expert's hat? No. I don't know that does. Can be useful. Bonus to wisdom, immunity to stun in days. You'll appreciate that. But no. Where the hell is that thing? It's got it in. It's in the name. It's pretty obvious when you look at it. Judgmental gaze. No. Killjoy. No. Where you at, little bastard? That man's hat might be it. No, that's necromancy. Monster's hat. Helmet of the Guiding Light. Helmet grants aware +4 confidence bonus on all perception and lore nature skill checks, but perception is the one you're going to get. It also grants the ability to cast True Strike as a swift action 3 times a day. Be fucking useful, and it's swift action. That's a nice use. And remember, swift action would normally take away your Arcane Strike, that plus 5 to your damage, right? But remember, you have that blooded Arcane Strike as well. So if you cast a swift action like this, you would shut off Arcane Strike. Normally, for you, while you're blood raging, it will not. It will still stay on. So that's a nice way for you to get a nice plus 20 to your swing very quickly. But the one we're looking for is Sharp Eye, probably. That sounds like the one. There might even be another one. Yeah, there's like the Marksman's Headset, but look at this one here. So it grants plus 6 confidence bonus perception check, plus 2 bonus to ranged attack rolls. And the reason that's important is it says ranged attack rolls, not attack rolls with like a bow or a crossbow. So any ranged attack rolls, so sling staff, ray spells, all that shit would get a plus 2. That's not amazing, but Sharp Eye was only one of the choices. Another choice to me was, I just said it, Marksman's Headset. Plus 5 to perception, not plus 6, but keep reading. When the wearer uses deadly aim, which you use all the time, provides an additional plus 2. Oh, boo. I thought it was plus 4. Maybe there's another one that does plus 4. Nope. So plus 2 is your choice. So, again, there are other choices is my point. And there's other things that are of value, like Eel Circlet, plus 4 intelligence you don't particularly care about, but it casts Lightning Bolt at will at 5, level 5, so that's 5d6 of damage. I know that's not impressive, but that's free damage, and every round, AoE, if you wanted a Lightning Bolt, here you go. So again, you can mix and match, have some fun, get yourself a Professor's hat. You are an urban Bloodrager after all. Why not have yourself a cool fucking hat that gives you a bonus to all your skill checks? Again, up to you for what you grab here. But again, I would not grab the Hat of Mental Perfection plus 8 simply for thematic reasons. It's the best choice, plus 8 to Intelligence, Wisdom, and Charisma. Fucking obvious choice right there. But it's still one that's like, that looks stupid in a fucking wizard's hat raging around the fucking place. And there's other choices here, like Crown of Fear. You do have some fear spells that you could have taken. Intimidation could have been a thing for your character if you went that route. There's another one in here, I mentioned it before, the Dead Man's Hat. Bonus to your necromancy spells. Notice this one here, whereas health is calculated based on charisma. Your charisma is way better than your con stat. So this would take away your con stat and allow you to be basically undead. Again, kind of trippy. Let's actually fucking equip that shit just so you can see what I'm talking about on that shit. So that should fall under this category. I mean, based on type. Then you'll find the hat. There, I had it. Notice how that went down, but this went up to a fucking 320 goddamn 4. So again, we're based off the plus 9, not whatever our con was a moment ago. It should not impact our raging ability. Let's see if that's actually true. I hope it doesn't. What we need to do is we need to rest. The reason I say that is because remember, your rage, how many rounds of rage you get is based on your level as well as your con stat. And if our con stat's nothing, I don't know that we didn't fuck that up. So let's take a look at it carefully. 45. Okay, let's take off the hat. Let's see, our con went fucking back to 12. It should be 14, so I have to drink that potion again. It's okay, I have plenty. Oh, fuck me. It won't do it. Oh, boo. Alright, well, it's a quick solve there. We'll put that back to an earlier save spot. I want to see what the 14 was. So again, 52. Yeah, so we did lose out on some con. Some reflex, or rage. Ugh. I can use words, I swear I can. We're missing out on some rage if we do that. So instant rest, prove to ourselves that we're 52. Okay, put on that hat, which was based on type, and it was this ugly bastard here. No, it's Morbid Stare. Where are you, this son of a bitch? Yeah, right here. Dead Man's Hat. Boom. We lost plus 7. So again, we should be 7 lower. Yeah, 45 and 52. So we actually did lose out on some rage by doing that hat. But there was another hat, just to point it out to you. There was another hat. This one here. It's called Morbid Stare. It's not quite as good, but it's a +1 to all your DC checks for necromancy spells, and the wearer chance to frighten the target on a hit. So every time we hit somebody, we have a chance to scare them. It's not a good chance, DC 15, but remember, just like for you, a crit failure, they fail. So there's always that 5% chance that it's helpful. And again, kind of interesting. There's just like my point though, is there's a variety of ways of doing stuff, and plus she looks fucking evil that way. Jesus. The point is, I think you'll have fun with this build, Zuloph, and anyone else that wanted to fucking tackle it. Feel free to change some stuff around. I'll post my little sheet here below for, you know, all the feat picks, the spell picks, and so forth. I'll even write down some of the gear that you would probably want to grab. But by and large, know that as long as you buff your charisma, your dex, con, then you're probably happy. And of course, all these rods and the best type of weapons for whatever you're going with. And again, you didn't have to do rapier. You could have gone for just the last thing to fucking point out. The reason I went rapier is because when I did this search, so I went for items, and I said let's get rid of that. Let's go weapons, and I said agile. I said basically what are agile weapons. This is the list that came up. Okay, so then I only go by name stuff. So there's the E stock, S stock, whatever you call it. Again, you don't have training in that. Stratagem is a rapier. Deadly Grace is a rapier. Swordsman's Passion, that's going to be a dueling sword. Talent of the Wise, that's a comma, and that's not one that you can use because again, it's an exotic weapon. Thundercrack is a scimitar. It's an exception to the rule. It's one of the few scimitars left in the game that's still an agile scimitar. For those of you that don't know, the vanilla version of this game, it used to be that the scimitars were weapon finessable. They are not. They took that away, but then they added the feat. It's called Scimitar's Dance or something like that. That literally, Dazzling Dance or something silly. And it literally means that you can use your dexterity for scimitars now, but you have to pick that feat. It's kind of silly. But this was a throwback to the original version of the game that had agile scimitar because again, you could have weapon finesse that fucker. But other stuff that was in here, Bloodhound again, another dueling sword, of course, all these non-named agile weapons, duh. But again, Tears of Blood, Sigh, exotic weapon, you don't have skill in it. Heart Piercer, again, more the same. But then you got Vein Finder, again, another rapier. Notice that we have in Putrid Blade, another rapier. So we got like 3 rapiers that were agile. Silent Whisper, Deceiver, Troublemaker, Trouble Solver, those fall under 2 different dagger categories. So daggers was a choice, and so was Punching Dagger, which is again one 2 of these are punching daggers and 2 of these are daggers. So daggers are a solid choice. So don't go rapier just because I say so. Again, we did rapiers because if it's not a agile rapier like the ones that I'm telling you to grab, because there's other rapiers that are not agile that are still awesome, you will not get your dex modifier for anything other than the swing because it's weapon finessable. You'll get your strength modifier. As we saw, that was buffing up to a solid +9. You can wield that two-handed. That +9 now becomes 13 points of damage. And again, that's nice, but remember your dex is going to be buffed too. That was up to a goddamn 17. 13 and 17, which would you rather have? Yeah, that's why agile weapons were more appealing. It wasn't that more appealing. So again, if you wanted to go to daggers and or any other weapon that you're capable of wielding melee style and do it two-handed, you will swing like a champ. But I suggest that you get a two-handed weapon that can be weapon finessable. There's not many. Rapier's one. Shit. What else? I think Elven Curve Blade, but again, that's exotic weapon. That's it. I don't think I can't think, and I'm sure I'm missing one, guys. I'm sorry, but I'm sure there's another weapon finessable, a weapon that you can wield two-handed. It's not triggering my brain. Sorry, but the point is find that weapon, use that weapon. You'll be happy with that weapon. So again, solid build, plenty of spells to have fun with, plenty of damage to have fun with, plenty of attack bonuses, plenty of armor, all the shit that you'd want on a main character, in my opinion, and skills galore. With that, though, my name is Brothermutant. Please like, subscribe, comment down below. Tell me what you think about this. Especially talking to you, Zuloph. You better fucking comment on this, motherfucker. I want to find out what you think about this, because I was pretty impressed by the fact that I could get me and my 6th strength back. But I'll wait for that comment, and I'll see you guys soon. Bye now.